Bailey for 93 WIBC.
61 and mostly sunny downtown. I'm Kirk Darling on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
You're listening to Rob Kendall.
When we talk about sending money somewhere, we're talking about printing the money because we have no money.
And Casey Daniels.
My government would never lie to me, would they?
On 93 WIBC.
Good morning. It is Tuesday, August 20th. It's 6 minutes after 9. You're listening to Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC. So, Rob, I would like to start off the show today with some personal questions.
Oh, great. Let's do it.
Have you ever passed a kidney stone before?
I have not.
Have you ever prepped for a colonoscopy?
I have not.
Had a root canal?
I have not.
Certainly you've had food poisoning before.
I guess. I mean, I've been sick after eating. I would assume that's food poisoning.
Yeah. And I'm sure at some point in your life you've experienced a broken heart, a painful breakup, right?
You know how I am.
Yeah.
I mean,
move on.
I'm just kind of,
pretty quickly. I ask because all of these things were more enjoyable than watching the DNC last night.
But on all of those things, I would agree with you, no matter how painful they may be. I mean, what they did to Joe Biden last night. I mean, I refer to it as playing government. They're just playing government in the sense of it's hours upon hours upon hours of them telling you how great Joe Biden is, then yet telling you in the same speeches how screwed up things are in the country. How can both of these things be true? The answer is they cannot.
Yes, we love you, Joe. Thank you, Joe. You've done so much for the country. Now get out.
Yeah, I mean, like the AOC. So let's not even get to Biden yet. I mean, that was ridiculous that they. It was 11:30 before he got out there. It was, it's like my wife went to bed, fell asleep. Baby was in bed, so I thought, well, I'm just here by myself, so I'll just turn this thing on and see what's going on, because I thought, it's like 10:30. I thought, well, they're probably wrapping it up, and then people are like, Biden isn't even close to coming out yet. And I thought, well, I've got to see what's going on, and it was like 11:30 before he got out there, but we'll get to him in a second. Like the AOC speech last night, and boy, again, I don't know if you have not lived an exemplary life what it seems like when you're greeted at the gates of hell, but it's probably her voice her shouting voice on a loop. I mean, it is just simply unbelievable that these people shout and screech and scream about what's going on in this country, and then they somehow try to blame Donald Trump for all of it.
All night long. She was smiling through her anger, and I don't know if you saw the clip, but there was something circulating on the internet before her speech where she sidled up to the influencers and all sweet and smiley and almost flirtatious, and then she gets on stage and it's fire and brimstone.
Well, and so this is the thing. I mean, it's just one speech after another, these people, and it's always the same thing. You're incapable of helping yourself. You've been screwed. You need the government. It's just the same speech over and over and over again. And look, I get that everybody in that room last night is a lemming and a sheep and a seal, and they're not going to have any critical thinking about all of this. But if you're a reasonable, rational person with an IQ above 7, how do you square that every speech was about what's wrong with the country or things that need to be fixed in the country, and then it is pivoted to or immediately followed by Joe Biden is so great, and we're so lucky to have had Joe Biden. Like, it just, of course, it's totally nonsensical, and those people should all be embarrassed and ashamed of themselves.
Well, it's not only that, but it's on day one, Kamala is going to fix this, and this, and this, followed by she's done so much for us over the past 3.5 years, but on day one, she's going to fix everything else.
Well, so let's get to Biden himself, shall we?
Yeah.
Because there's no way that was accidental. Sometimes at these things, well, Senator Frank went 20 minutes long, so now everything's pushed back. There's no way that was accidental. There's no way. And Biden lived up to why they hit him at 11:30 at night. It was the classic. I mean, they put him on whatever they put him on during the State of the Union. He's shouting, he's screaming, he's, misreading the teleprompter, he's getting ahead of himself, he's putting words together that don't make any sense, he's quitting in the middle of sentences. It was every reason they pushed Grandpa off the cliff, and it's just a pathetically tragic end. I mean, think about this. This guy's whole life, I mean, he really is a Shakespearean character in the sense of this guy's whole life he wanted to be president. He ran 2 laughable campaigns for president 20 years apart from each other. That's how bad he wanted to be president. And his whole life he wanted to be the president of the United States. He gets to be president of the United States. He's so far mentally shot, and everybody knew that when he was running the first time, but they propped him up because he was deemed the most electable because he was the only not perceived as not insane person when you're dealing with Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren and all of these other people. And so he never really was the president. He had the title. And then you get pushed out of being the president. If he still has moments of, lucid thinking, he knows what they did to him. Now, whether he consistently knows or not, I don't know. But then your farewell is, hey, Grandpa, you get to run out there at 11:30 on Monday.
Oh, yeah. They're trying to put him to bed and hoping everybody else is in bed as well when it's time for him to talk. I mean, here's a guy who's known in Washington for giving great eulogies at funerals, right? And then they make him go give his own career eulogy.
Yeah, I just
put him off as late as possible.
There's something, I mean, it's tragic. I mean, it's tragic in the sense of what they're doing to this old man. But Biden knew what he was doing when he ran for president. So, no, Biden knew what he was doing when he ran for president. He signed all these bills that have been incredibly destructive for every single American. So you can't have, sympathy for the guy because he has caused immense harm to this country. He's caused immense harm to the American way of life. And you see this guy up there who his farewell to the nation is he's shilling for the woman who pushed him out of the presidency.
Yeah, that's a bitter pill to swallow, huh?
And the best part of it all was his hideous, awful, horrific wife had to do it right before Biden did.
So I was watching CNN before he gave his speech.
Why?
Well, because they were the only one who had it on at the time. They started their red carpet very early.
So you watched the whole thing? You just left it on?
I did. It was on in the background, yeah. But I heard this
so
one
the whole thing, like Clinton and all these people, you watched it all?
Well, I had it on in the background. I wasn't completely watching. I was listening. There was background noise going on. If I'm a little angry today, that's why it was rubbing off on me.
And
I got yelled at all night long.
You're home alone. You could have done whatever you wanted. Your husband
could have done so much more. I do it for the show, Rob.
Wow, that's
But
horrific.
I wanted to play this one clip for you from CNN, and I think this guy explains exactly why they pushed Biden off until 11:26 p.m.
They're keeping Joe Biden as far away from Kamala Harris as they possibly can. He'll come and go. He'll come and go on Monday, and we'll never hear from him again after Monday. Look, she cannot run as his vice president. She cannot run on his record. She cannot run on his policies. If she does, the American people say, oh, yeah, I don't want to put the same people in charge that I'm so pissed at right now. I mean, they cannot do it. So they got to – I hope somebody reminds him not to accept the nomination when he walks out there on Monday night. But they cannot have this guy on the campaign trail.
And that's it. They just did not want him in prime time, so put him as late as possible.
And he did all the stuff. It's the shouting, it's the yelling. It's an hour of it, right? It's just nonstop.
He didn't get the memo that this is a joyful convention.
Well, and then again, it's the stumbling of words. It's putting words together that don't go there. This is the guy who was running the country for, I guess, 3.5 years. I don't know. I watched that. And it is, you want to feel bad for the guy, but then you realize he knew where he was and what he was doing when he ran for president. He knew the afflictions that he had when he ran for president. He put every American's life in danger by being the president from a national security perspective. He's done immeasurable harm to this country in the 3.5 years he's been there. And now they're just gaslighting everyone going, hey, everything's got to change, but Joe Biden was so great.
How about Nancy Pelosi waving the "We Love Joe" sign and mouthing "We Love Joe"?
Was she cooked when she was on TV?
You think?
Do we have that audio?
We
Can
do.
we hear this?
She was talking to CNN's Jake Tapper, and he asked her, "Have you talked to Joe Biden?" And this is her answer.
You know what?
Have you talked to him? Is my only question.
What I have to do.
Right.
He made the decision for the country. My concern was not about the president; it was about his campaign.
Did she start by saying, "Can we play the beginning of that? I did what I had to do." Is that what she?
That's what she said.
Is that? Can we hear that again?
You know what?
Have you talked
I
to
have
him? Is
to
my
do
only
what
question.
I have to do.
Right.
He made the decision.
Oh yeah. Ooh, drunk Nance. A blitz Nancy Pelosi.
She just seems like she desperately wants to scream it from the mountaintop. I did it. I kicked him out.
Yeah.
But she can't.
I mean, it's like going to some wedding. Oh, here's a great example. So you have to go to some wedding you don't want to go to.
Well, it's not that I don't want to go
You
to.
totally did a whole segment on how you were trying to get out of going to this wedding.
Well, I don't know the bride or groom.
Well, but
I'm only invited so that I can help my mom.
Well, that's my point. Well, I don't know why you're fighting me on this. Like, it's like you did a whole segment on it. We all heard you.
Yeah.
You don't want to go to this wedding, and that's fine. But you're going to the wedding. So while you're at this wedding, you have to act like you want to be there and act like you're excited about being there, and you're clearly not. And that was what last night was, except it's not some obscure family member's wedding. It's the guy who's president of the United States.
So how about Joe Biden or Jill Biden praising him and saying that he dug deep into his soul to endorse Kamala Harris?
Yeah, we have to move on because Tony Kennet's going to talk more about this at 9:30. There's only so much that I can take of this in an hour. So can we do something fun next segment? Can we do something uplifting next segment?
Can we do something
You're in
fun?
charge. My computer's not currently working, so I've just been staring at the phrase restarting for the past 9 minutes.
Yes, we'll do something fun. It's Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC.
Tony Katz.
No one from the Indiana Republican Party is going to demand Joe Hogsett be fired. No one from the Indiana Democratic Party, which claims to actually care about women, although they can't define it, they're not going to demand Joe Hogsett be fired. And if you want to know why the story matters, the Republicans on the council don't know how to speak up. Cowardice is not something that should be rewarded with your vote. And silence leads to the death of a city and a soul. And we shouldn't be those people.
Tony Katz, mornings 6 to 9 on 93 WIBC and WIBC.com.
If you can't get a good night's sleep, let me ask you, are you breathing well? Because if you're snoring or waking up each night with a stuffed up nose or frustrated with your CPAP mask, the root of your sleep problem lies in your breathing triangle. And if any one of those passages isn't working, you won't sleep well. And there's no mattress, pill, or other gimmick that can fix that. I'm Dr. Madan Kandula. A recipe for a good night's sleep starts with an open airway. Now, there are devices that can help solve snoring or sleep apnea problems. If you walk into a sleep center, know you'll walk out with a CPAP. And you might find other options elsewhere. But the simple truth is, if your nose doesn't work properly, no device will help. Only at Advent will you find every effective snoring and sleep apnea solution, along with a world-class team that can get your nose working properly again.
Go to adventknows.com to schedule your appointment because Advent knows when you breathe well, you live better.
The hot summer and the hot deals are coming at Tom Roush Lincoln. 0% for 60 months is back. Get 0% APR for 60 months on every new 2024 Lincoln Navigator. Plus get an additional $4,000 off MSRP. You can also take $3,000 off every new 2024 Lincoln Corsair 70 available. So get in here for one of those hot summer deals at Tom Roush Lincoln in Fishers.
For well-qualified buyers with approved credit. Not all buyers will qualify. Taxes and dealer fees extra. Stock number L24401. MSRP 107,425. Stock number L24284. MSRP is 43,435. See dealer for complete details.
Life's full of unexpected joys, like problems with water. That's why there's Michaelis, a crew of 24/7 experts who are rescue ready, day or night, one phone call, for a gazillion disasters. Over 3 decades of restoring your home or business to better than new condition. Water, storms, fire, and wet basements. Life happens. Michaelis happens to help you through it. Call 844-FIX-INDY. Make it Michaelis.
Truck drivers, redefine your work-life balance with a home daily driving job at Midwest Logistics Systems. As an MLS driver, you'll experience the ease of hauling no-touch freight, earning predictable pay, and having a consistent Monday through Friday schedule. Plus, MLS drivers fuel their paychecks with performance and safety-based bonuses and enjoy a benefits package with healthcare, a 401k, paid time off, and more. Stop missing out on valuable time at home. Apply today at MidwestLogisticsSystems.com.
Hey, checking in?
This is not just your flu shot appointment at Walgreens.
Yes.
This is getting your entire family vaccinated in one trip.
Hey, Mom?
And a snack on the way out. Get flu shots for everyone in your family, together. Schedule appointments online today. This is wellness made easy. Walgreens.
Vaccine subject to availability and for ages 3+. State and health-related restrictions may apply.
Inside Indiana Business Radio, the news you need to get ahead. Indiana's business news leader, weekdays at 6:32 a.m. and 5:56 p.m. on WIBC.
It's the Kendall and Casey Show.
Have we got a show for you?
Congress and Homeland Security Secretary, I'm not sure going to do show away. Security Secretary,
on 93 WIBC.
So the Indiana Fever beat the Seattle Storm on Sunday, 92-75. Caitlin Clark finished with 23 points, 9 assists, and 5 rebounds. One of her teammates also added 22 points. After the game, a reporter asked if they were going to be buying season tickets for their family members. But Caitlin Clark said, you know what? They're kind of expensive.
Lexi, are you going to get those relative season tickets now?
I mean, we might have to.
Those are pretty expensive.
We'll make sure the Fever gets working on that.
Our salaries, it's like our entire salary to get those. I'm not kidding.
We'll have someone work on that for sure.
We need people to help.
You think they said...
Even Caitlin Clark, with her millions of dollars in sponsorship, says that she needs help with these ticket prices.
Her unlimited access to money and endorsements, and she's very concerned about. Now, look, I'm all in now on the Fever because I grabbed them over the weekend, 60-1 to win the whole thing. So I'm all look. If I got to be subjected to this insanity, then I'm going to have some sort of financial gain out of it. Now, let's just remind everybody, this is a team that is still under 500. Okay, they've lost more games than they've won. They are playing much better than they had previously played. But let's cool our jets a little bit on declaring these people the 96 Chicago Bulls here, right? Okay, so we still got a ways to go before that.
Okay, so Dave Portnoy, he put in a $100,000 bet, and what if he wins?
$10 million.
$10 million.
I did not bet that much.
Yours is nowhere near that sort of money.
No, it is not.
Huh?
It's just enough for me to stomach having to deal with the incessant Caitlin Clark.
Just
Indiana
something
Fever
to make
news
it
cycle.
fun for you?
Yeah.
Okay, so ticket sale prices are up 264%. Jerseys are up 1,193%.
Here's the problem with all of this, though, okay?
Yeah.
And like I've watched, a couple of these games now since I got some skin in the game. She's phenomenal, right? She's wildly entertaining. She's great. She's an incredible passer. She's all the things. She'll probably be, barring injury, when it's all said and done, they'll say this is the greatest women's basketball player that ever lived, right? And it's great for the city. The rest of the basketball stinks. I mean, I'm sorry. She's like an A+ times infinity, and absolutely you'll sit there and watch her every single time. But the league itself, the thing about a national football league is, the league itself is entertaining. Even if you're seeing the Denver Broncos play the Las Vegas Raiders, who are two of the kind of cellar dweller teams in the NFL, there's high impact, there's hitting, there's excitement, there's big catches, there's runs, there's kickoff returns. I mean, there's all these things that you will sit and watch a National Football League game no matter who's playing. It's why, for example, Amazon has a gajillion-dollar deal to broadcast crappy games on Thursday night because people will sit there and watch it no matter who. Now, do you get a bump when it's Mahomes or Josh Allen or who? Yeah, of course you do. But this is not going on with the WNBA. It's like there's her and what she's involved in.
And then there's everything else.
And then there's everything else, right?
Well, the one thing that I have noticed, it seems like after the break, because of the Olympics, her teammates are at least picking up what she's throwing down, because previously she was making some amazing passes and they were fumbling the ball, couldn't get it in the net. But now they're at least receiving
You know what you sound like? You sound like Jill Biden after that first debate with Joe.
You did it, Joe.
You answered all the questions. Casey's like, you supposedly professional athletes caught the ball.
You
and put it in the
ball. No, I'm
basket.
just saying that you can see some marked improvement. Now, there's something else that happened in Indianapolis that I wanted to bring to your attention. The Indiana Chamber of Commerce and also the Indiana Sports Corps, they came together and they hosted the inaugural Indiana Women's Summit. And this was at the convention center. And the whole point of this was to make Indianapolis the women's sports capital. This is a goal of theirs, to make the town a leader in women's sports. They
Time out.
Yeah.
Women's sports.
Women's sports.
Now, this means people without penises.
Correct. And that's exactly... What a great segue, Rob. Thanks for setting that up.
You're welcome.
The whole thing with this is, if they want Indianapolis to be the leader in women's sports and capitalize on the rise of women's sports, one of these groups has to come out and be the first to say, men don't belong in women's sports. Otherwise, it's just another arm of sports.
Right, you're absolutely right. And look, a big part of women's sports, and you've seen this throughout the history of women's sports, is when there are individual athletes who are capable of driving the sport forward. And before you make it some sort of sexist thing, there's all sorts of niche sports that have been that way. We talk about Wayne Gretzky in hockey. We talk about Mike Tyson in boxing, or Muhammad Ali before him, Pele in soccer. This is not, women's sports are just simply not as popular as men's sports. They need a compelling individual. Look at figure skating. Look at figure skating. When has that been the premier sporting event at the Olympics? When it's names, it's Michelle Kwan, it's obviously Tanya Harding, it's Nancy Kerrigan.
Right.
Look at gymnastics. Again, when it's names, it's identifiable, it's people with personalities. Hey, it's Mary Lou Retton, America's sweetheart. So women's sports rise and fall largely based around, is there a compelling figure inside of that sport that people can get their head around to lift the tide of everybody else?
All right, Tony Kennet is going to join us next. He is in Chicago, and we're going to get some on-site reporting from him on 93 WIBC.
After 30 years of doing knee and hip replacements, Dr. Mitchell Scheinkup thought there had to be a better way, and that led him to regenerative medicine.
I was one of the first orthopedic surgeons to do it.
Now, after 20 years of successful orthobiologic treatments, lots of clinical data, research, and teaching, Dr. Scheinkup is National Medical Director at QC Kinetics.
They've done an amazing job of becoming the most significant orthobiologic and regenerative medicine practice in the United States. QC is so far ahead of the game in its science, its protocols, its people, its facilities.
So if you have chronic pain from arthritis and you want to avoid drugs and surgery, call the experts in this revolutionary field, QC Kinetics.
To give patients real lasting relief from pain, that's what I live for. That's my mission.
Get your free consultation now. Call QC Kinetics.
Call QC Kinetics, 317-559-PAIN. That's 317-559-PAIN. In Eagle Creek, Greenwood, and Carmel, 317-559-PAIN.
Tony Katz here for Premier Arms in Brownsburg. This is your premier gun store. Premier Arms has the experience and know-how to help the new gun buyer and the most experienced marksman. They've been in business for over 20 years and have a friendly, knowledgeable staff that wants to help you, not talk down to you. Premier Arms in Brownsburg is family-friendly, so bring the kids. All ages are welcome. Everyone can find what they're looking for at Premier Arms in Brownsburg, 3754 South Green Street. Online at premierarms.com. Tell them Tony Katz sent you, premierarms.com.
It's not too late to get the backyard of your dreams this year. Expand your living space with an Indy Decorative Concrete patio. Indy Decorative Concrete, the patio experts. Big enough to service, small enough to care.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
It was late night TV, and it's mostly sunny and 62 downtown. I'm Kirk Darling. Here's what's trending at 9:30. President Biden rallying Democrats at the DNC in Chicago Monday.
I made a commitment to you that I'd be a president for all Americans, whether you voted for me or not. We have done that.
His speech, originally set for prime time, did not go off, though, until about 11 p.m. Eastern. Hamas says President Biden and U.S. diplomats misled them with initial peace deal talks with Israel. Fox's Jonathan Savage.
President Biden accused Hamas of backing off from a nearly agreed-to ceasefire deal in Gaza. The Islamists responding today, saying they're astonished by a suggestion they describe as misleading. American leaders had been expressing optimism that Hamas and Israel were close to a deal, with Secretary of State Antony Blinken announcing the Israelis had accepted a bridging proposal. But Hamas now insists the plan goes against what was previously agreed to. Jonathan Savage, Fox News.
Your opening bell report on 93 WIBC, brought to you by Absolute Wealth Management, LLC. Some slight declines to start the day. The Dow was off at 35 at the opening bell to 40,985. The NASDAQ is down 41 to 19,816. And the S&P 500 is down 3.5 to 5,626. I'm Kirk Darling, on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
It's common knowledge that after age 30, our metabolism changes. We have less energy and gain weight easier. There's a way to feel better, not in years or months, but sometimes in just days.
I'm Chuck Norris. I tried everything. Working with a team of health experts, we came up with Morning Kick. Morning Kick is a revolutionary new formula that combines all my favorite supplements into one daily drink.
Morning Kick has probiotics to help you lose weight, prebiotics for digestion, superfoods for muscles and joints, and powerful anti-aging supplements. It'll help you feel youthful, energized, and helps manage stress.
I look and feel better than I have in years.
Go to roundhouseprovisions.com, use code HEALTH, or text HEALTH to 511-511 and claim 40% off. roundhouseprovisions.com, code HEALTH.
Every purchase comes with our 90-day money-back guarantee. You could be feeling these changes within just a couple of days.
Text HEALTH to 511-511.
These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Tax fees may apply.
Talking on the phone is difficult if you've been exposed to loud noises over time. Combat veterans, factory workers, farmers, gun and motorcycle enthusiasts can have trouble hearing on the telephone. Relay Indiana helps return clarity to your phone conversations. A free service providing telecom accessibility, Relay Indiana allows hard of hearing users to have normal phone conversations through specially trained relay operators. Relay Indiana also provides free loaned equipment to those who qualify. Get the CapTel caption telephone from Relay Indiana. Visit relayindiana.com now.
Research shows smoking costs Indiana businesses $3.1 billion every year. It also shows that an extra $2 per pack tax on cigarettes would drastically reduce smoking, which could save lives, create jobs, and infuse the state of Indiana with hundreds of millions of dollars annually. Read the reports from the Richard M. Fairbanks Foundation at thepriceofsmoking.org and see for yourself how an extra $2 per pack tax on cigarettes can have a positive impact on Hoosiers.
The deals keep coming at Andy Moore Ford in Plainfield. Tony Katz here at Andy Moore Ford. The people, the selection, the service, everything you want. Shop their wide selection of certified pre-owned vehicles, all marked with more savings, so you can be sure you're driving home with the best deal. And their commercial truck center is currently undergoing big changes, which means bigger and better things for you coming soon. Stop by today. Check out every vehicle they have on the lot and all the electric vehicles they've got. The Mustang Mach-E, the E-Transit, and that F-150 Lightning, all in stock with more arriving daily. The all-electric F-150 Lightning has you covered with seating up to 5, intelligent backup power, and onboard power for all your tools and gear. And they've got the incentives, the rebates, the federal, the state incentives that can save you up to $7,500 instantly on site. Talk to Andy Moore Ford in Plainfield about your new car, your new truck, or your new electric vehicle. Andy Moore Ford, M-O-H-R. I love Andy. AndyMooreFord.com.
A child arrived just the other day. He came to the world in the usual way, but there were planes to catch and bills to pay.
Casey, we started the show with that convention last night. Well, that was a train wreck.
It was a complete disaster. And, you know, I was thinking about this.
You're so mad. You're so mad that you had to stay up so late.
It was like till 12:15. Like day one of the DNC ran into day two.
Yeah, you were so angry. And Look at the bright side. At least you weren't there in person.
That's true.
You know who was? Is Tony Kennet.
Yeah.
Host of the Tony Kennet cast, which you can hear weeknights, 7 o'clock here on WIBC. He joins us now. All right, Kennet, let's start with the festivities that led up to the convention last night. You were amongst leading another large group of freak shows in parade marches. Tell us all about it.
Well, I think I've finally boiled it down. See, I was wearing yet another golf polo. I know, it's a shocker, an idea that I would be wearing a clean-cut polo. My hair was nice. I showered, and I had just a slight bit of cologne. And I realized why they all look up to me for leadership. I'm the only adult there. It's crazy. It's insane. I kind of give off the father that you wish you had, the teacher that you never had kind of vibes. They need a father figure, the poor things. So when, I led yet another march.
Yeah, when you were out on the swing sets, you were the supervision.
That's right. I was the chaperone. And grown adults, a little overweight to be on the swings. It was a very weird thing. And then about
wait. Time out, Kennet. So just I feel like we're burying the lead here. So you're in some Antifa march or whatever they were. Was it pro-Hamas, Antifa? What were they?
So it was equal parts Hamas and the socialist Antifa Marxist crew.
Okay.
So excited about it.
Yeah. So you're marching. They're mad. They want justice or whatever they want, and then they just stop and go play on the jungle gym.
Yeah, we went from Union Park, which is just like a city park with like a little baseball diamond on it that they later, by the way, vandalized and spray painted and got cleared away from riot police. But at the moment, they marched from there to this little playground outside of the stadium where the convention is taking place. And then about 5 minutes after I recorded that video and laughed about it with Hammer and Nigel, they broke through 2 different fences of the DNC perimeter, and they called in Chicago's finest, who I witnessed beat the living tar out of this one guy because he attacked a Chicago police officer. I mean, it got real special there for a few minutes.
What do they want? Do you know what these people want? Do they know what they want?
They have no idea what they want. It's like the
attention.
What does the Roadrunner do if he actually catches, or excuse me, what does the coyote do if he actually catches the Roadrunner?
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of what this is like. They got into the DNC perimeter, and it's like, okay, now what do you want to do? Because you're not going to go and just start killing the people inside the perimeter, are you? Are you?
Well, I don't know what these people. You're the reporter. You're on the scene. So is this is it out of their system? Are they done, or is this a daily occurrence? Are you expecting more today?
Well, actually, I think I'm prolonging my stay. I think they're going to be heading outside the Jewish consulate in Chicago a little bit later in the week.
Oh, no.
Are they going to break down barricades that are set up there as well?
Well, they have once, so I don't know. And just to be clear, the reason that I say I don't know, they don't know themselves. And as much as I would love to say I'm an empathetic person, I don't think I can really get in their heads on this one. A little too loony for my taste.
Tony Kennet joins us. Tony Kennet cast, weeknights, 7 o'clock here on WIBC. All right, so did you make it? By the way, are you allowed in the convention? Are you allowed to be there?
I was actually refused press credentials. They were like, no, sorry, we have space issues. And then when we pointed out there was some influencer from Instagram that they let in last minute, they said, well, actually, it's because, well, then I kid you not, they left the email off with the word well, and we haven't heard back.
Okay, so you had to watch.
Didn't stop me from getting in, though.
Well, okay, so were you in there last night?
No, not last night. Yesterday, though, I did get waved inside the perimeter, but I did watch it last night. I actually just went to bed about 3 hours ago.
Okay, so let's talk about Biden for a second, shall we? I mean, first of all, it's amazing he made it to whatever 12:15 or whatever.
Well past his bedtime.
Whatever he was done. But the shouting, we're still with all the shouting.
I was really enjoying the casting of old man at nursing home misses his medicine and takes it out on the nurses that we all got to experience as a nation for an hour and then some. I mean, you talk about Trump's campaign, like his actual his RNC speech being long. Biden's felt long because he just yelled at everyone cantankerously, shaking his fist back and forth. I can see, actually, unfortunately, where some of the early onset Parkinson's accusations are coming from. It's such an embarrassment to this country that's our president. And we just let him get up there like some kind of sideshow circus freak. It really is an atrocity.
Besides the overall attitude, is there one thing that you can point to his speech that really stood out to you?
When he got to talking about Trump in the debate in Georgia and all of a sudden he decided to channel the Philadelphia red lights with the Marine behind him. He started shaking his fist and kind of like pounding the pulpit in anger about Trump. And I thought, man, this is a broken man. This is a guy who just lost his gal to somebody at the bar. Like, this is – I just don't think I've ever seen someone just lose it like that on stage. It was really sad.
Okay, so you and I talked about the polling yesterday, and Casey and I talk about this all the time. It's very odd to me, though, that every person that gets up there and speaks talks about how much society sucks when you're the people that are in charge of society. Am I the only person that thinks that's weird, or is that a narrative that other people are looking around going, you guys control everything?
Yeah, I really enjoy talking to people from Baltimore and them complaining about those stinking dirty Republicans running everything. Honey, you're in Baltimore. Everything for the last 200 years has been run by Democrats. Abe Lincoln was complaining about it in the 1860s. I don't think you're doing anything special here.
Do you think it's going to get out of control? Like, I mean, clearly this stuff is happening that you're talking about. The media is, I mean, they're covering some of it, but they don't want to cover most of it because it will make the Democrats look bad. Will this get out of control to the point where they have to cover it, or are the police going to be able to do a good enough job keeping these nut jobs outside the convention under control?
Rob, you've seen the movie Fugitive, haven't you?
Yes.
So the end of the movie, when the Chicago police officer gets killed, and then all of the Chicago police, like, they can't hold him back. It's like a dog pulling at the chain. Yeah, that's actually real. They are like the most do not hurt my brothers in arms force I've ever seen. That is not a stereotype. That is honest to God, the truth. I got to tell you, that in and of itself is more of a tamp down on any rioters here than you can imagine anywhere else. Honestly, I'm serious. They literally, I have a video on Twitter of riot police being told to come back to the line, and they were like, no, I'm going to beat the hell out of this guy. And I recorded it live. It was incredible. First of all, I wish I'd brought popcorn. It was amazing, and that guy definitely deserved it because he was a vandal and a trespass. Anyway, so those things aside, I think they'll probably be able to keep a good handle on it, but these skinny basement-dwelling rioters better watch themselves because there are some chomping at the bit officers here who are not wearing body cameras, if you catch my drift.
Before we let go, have you had a chance to interview any of these people, like the protesters, rioters, et cetera? Have you been able to do any sort of like deep dive with these Mensa members?
I have. I've talked to a lot of interesting people. I'd love to show you guys, but unfortunately, right before I went on the air last night, all hell broke loose, and I had to put on a bulletproof vest and head down to the riot instead of getting to do the show and share with you guys some of the more deeper stuff. My goodness. The deeper stuff that I have found so far at this convention.
What when you talk to them, what is that conversation like? I mean, is it coherent, or is it a thing where you say, well, I disagree with you, but I understand where you're coming from? Like, what is a conversation with one of these crazy people like?
It's coherent. They're very passionate in what they believe, but it's as though the passion blinds them to any kind of reason. And even if you say, but the UN disputes the number you're citing, is like the UN says that the number you're citing is actually 1/8 of the number you claim the death toll in Gaza to be. They say, well, actually, I don't like the UN. And they're wearing a T-shirt that says, God bless the UN or some nonsense.
All right, Tony. So tonight, Chicago's favorite son, Barack Obama, will be addressing everybody. Is this going to supercharge your new friends on the outside, or are they even aware of what's going on inside the convention?
I've heard them say Kamala go home or we'll bring the war home. They hate her. They hate Biden. They hate Obama. I mean, the young progressive-y left thinks him a war criminal. I don't know if it'll supercharge him as much as it's everyone here they are growing to hate by the day. I think it's really just reactionism, and I don't think that, like you said, Casey, I'm not even sure they really know what they're doing. They're just here to be whipped into a frenzy.
Yeah.
All right, maybe tonight, riot, long as we don't have any riots, the Tony Kennet cast tonight, 7 o'clock here on WIBC. And, hey, man, if you hang around another day, we'd love to have you back on tomorrow.
Thanks. I'll just do my best to stay awake at this point.
It's Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC.
Coming up on Tony Katz today, day one of the DNC, and it is actually much different than you expected in all the ways you expected. That's after the news at noon on 93 WIBC.
Sinus pressure, congestion, snoring, being unable to sleep. being unable to breathe. Yep, it's another sinus infection. You've Googled, watched videos, tried over-the-counter sprays, medications, and home remedies, but nothing ever works. There must be some kind of treatment that can help, right? Indianapolis Sinus Center understands how draining it can be when you try treatment after treatment without any relief. That's why they've been serving and treating the community for over 50 years. Indianapolis Sinus Center has performed thousands of procedures and helped thousands of patients find lasting relief they didn't know was possible. Patients like you. If you've had enough of sinus pain, pressure, and congestion, schedule a visit with Indianapolis Sinus Center today. Call 317-528-9650 and take the first step toward breathing easy. 317-528-9650. That's 317-528-9650 or visit IndianapolisSinusCenter.com.
Listen up, Hoosier. This is Gunny speaking, and I'm here to tell you what Senator Todd Young is doing about the mess Biden's creating at the border. The Laken Riley Act ain't no walk in the park, soldier. It's a mission to secure our border. When illegals think they can just waltz in and wreak havoc, they got another thing coming. Senator Young's legislation is going to lock them down tighter than a drum. Young ain't just sitting around saluting. No, sir. He's stopping flow of fentanyl like it's enemy number one, fighting the flow of fentanyl into Indiana from our southern border, and recognizing that it's causing Hoosier families to lose loved ones far too soon. Joe Biden is responsible for this crisis, and Todd is stopping him. It's time to build the wall, enforce tough immigration laws. Todd Young, I'm a Reed, fighting to protect Hoosiers. Hoorah! Paid for by Hoosier Honor Pack. Hoosier Honor Pack is responsible for the content of this advertising, not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee. Learn more at HoosierHonor.com.
Life's full of unexpected joys, like problems with water. That's why there's Michaelis, a crew of 24/7 experts who are rescue ready, day or night, one phone call, for a gazillion disasters. Over 3 decades of restoring your home or business to better than new condition. Water, storms, fire, and wet basements. Life happens. Michaelis happens to help you through it. Call 844-FIX-INDY. Make it Michaelis.
Point! Hey, you okay? You don't normally miss those shots.
I just haven't been as regular lately, and it's making me feel sluggish.
You should try Metamucil. It's been a game changer for me. Metamucil's plant-based psyllium fiber helps trap and remove the waste that weighs you down. Ace, you're moving better than you were last week.
Definitely.
Metamucil keeps you moving. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Learn more at Metamucil.com.
You want to listen all day to WIBC, but you don't always have time. Don't worry. There's a podcast for that. The WIBC Mashup. Daily highlights from your favorite hosts, Tony Katz, Kendall and Casey, and Hammer and Nigel. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.
Maria Brañas is no longer with us. You probably don't know who Maria is, but she was the world's oldest known living person. And she passed away at the age of 117 years old.
That's a long time. It's a long time. So the question I've always asked is like, what if I said, okay, Casey, I'm going to give you a number and you can choose to take it or play it out. Like if I give you a number, you can live to X amount of years and you're guaranteed that and you'll be good health. You can take it, or you can say, I'm going to spin the wheel, make the deal, right? Or, spin the chamber and see if I live longer than that of my own accord. If I said I give you 90 years, you taking that or not?
Oh, I'm definitely taking that.
90 years?
Yeah.
Well,
I don't think I'm passing 90 years.
You don't think you're going to live past? Well, lots of women live past 90 years.
I don't.
This woman had 27 years left, Casey. You're going to give up 27 years potentially?
There's no way that I'm going to live to be 117 and 168 days like her.
I was taught this at a very young age by one of my baseball coaches, and it's still true today. I can't mean you won't try. And in this case, it appears you're not trying.
No, I'm gonna actually root for the 90 years that you're giving me. So she died in her sleep, peacefully and without pain. That's what her family said. And they will always remember her advice and kindness. I guess the advice to live to 117. By the way, she was born in California, died in Spain, but she was an American. So, you got your healthy diet, your regular exercise, your strong social connections. You got manage that stress.
Yeah, but isn't a big part of it genetics too? I mean, there's certainly things go into living a healthy, more productive lifestyle. I don't think there's any doubt about that. If you're smoking every day, if you're drinking excessively, if you're doing horrific things to yourself, then
Like eating a Snickers candy bar instead of an apple.
well, you know what I'm saying. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
you got people who drink way too much, they smoke, et cetera, et cetera. But if you're there's lots of people who don't do those things that, clearly can, accelerate disease, illness, et cetera. But they don't necessarily live, model lifestyles, and they live well into their 90s, right? I mean, there's people who live exemplary. There we go. Exemplary.
Yep, that's the word.
Lifestyles in terms of health, and they drop dead at 55. I mean, I think genetics is a big part of it.
Can you imagine that she lived through the 1918 flu pandemic?
Yeah.
And then again lived through the COVID pandemic? They said that even at her age, she got symptoms, but never got incredibly sick from it.
Not only did she live through, she remembers it.
Right. Born in 1907.
Yeah.
That's just incredible, the amount of technology that she witnessed throughout her life.
Yeah, she was 5 years old when the Titanic sank.
Mm-hmm.
So there's theoretically a chance she has some memory, at least of a headline or something of, hey, large ship
Possibly.
goes down.
Yeah.
Whatever.
So you've been eating healthier recently. 117. That's the magic number to beat.
Now, let's see. My grandparents on my father's side both lived into their 90s. Grandparents on my mother's side have lived into their late 80s or 90s in this case. So my grandmother on my father's side, had multiple people live into her 90s and hundreds. So, I feel like, knock on wood, I got a puncher's chance of being around here to annoy. I mean, I think part of what living is a drive to live, like a drive to get up each day and do things and be, it's why the people who are older who, whether it's grandkids or there's a sport or activity they're passionate about, I think those things help drive a longer life because you're motivated to take better care of yourself, but you're also motivated to get up each day.
You got purpose.
Right. You've got something to look forward to.
My purpose is to annoy as many people down the street from us as I possibly can. So as long as I have WIBC,
I think you're achieving that.
I feel relatively confident I will live a happy, long life. But
you're checking that box.
The problem is I work in radio, and you know how long the career span is of someone who works in radio, Casey.
Yeah, well, I think a big part of it also is not only the healthy lifestyle and making the good choices, but adequate sleep. And that's something I did not get last night as I was up watching the DNC till 12:15.
I can't believe you watched the whole, you had the whole thing, the whole thing on the whole time.
It was the triple threat last night.
Why did you do that
with
to yourself?
AOC, Hillary Clinton, and Joe Biden.
That makes no
all
sense.
in one night. Well, I was waiting for. I wasn't really waiting. I was watching to see if something would happen.
But you knew, hey, Hillary's going to. What redeeming anything would you have gotten out of a Hillary Clinton speech? Like what? Tony was going about, it's one of the best speeches she's ever given.
It was probably the best speech she ever gave.
But the bar is so low.
Well, right. You know who didn't seem like they got enough sleep before their speech was Joe Biden.
Yeah.
It was well past his bedtime. He definitely didn't get enough sleep. But
where was Hunter?
Where was Hunter?
Why was the daughter out there and no Hunter Biden? Where was Hunter Biden? The smartest guy Joe Biden knows. Where was he at?
Were you thinking about the alleged showers the entire time she was talking?
Well, I wasn't until right now. Thank you, Casey.
That's what kept going through my mind the whole time. She was just gushing over her dad. I was completely creeped out.
Joe Biden actually contributed to my health last night because I had not worked out yesterday. And then, like I said, my wife fell asleep, and obviously my daughter was in bed, so I'm just sitting there like I have nothing to do, and I'm waiting, so I'll just work out. And I got the whole workout. That's how long it took. I started watching right about the time Warnock was speaking.
And he just kept going on.
Oh, sure.
On it. It was like 15 minutes.
Yeah. And so those people went on for so long that not only did I get a whole workout in, I went to bed in the middle of Biden's speech, and then I woke up and you had texted me. Let's see. I'll actually read this text on the air. I woke up in the middle of the night to change my daughter, and this is what Casey texted me. It's tomorrow, and he's still yelling.
Well, it was like day one ran into day two. I couldn't believe it. You didn't respond, so that I knew you were done.
No,
you were out.
I was in the middle of changing a diaper, and then I thought, well, I'll get back to her. And then I lay back down. I thought, well, that was 20 minutes ago. Is the guy
No, he was still going even then. When did I send that? Like at 12:01?
Yeah, but I think I saw it because I dozed off, and I saw it when I woke back up to change her, and so then I thought, well, she's probably long asleep. This is 2, 3 in the morning or whatever it was.
Well, here is Joe Biden's best or worst moment from last night.
Women are not without electoral or political power.
What? Can we play that again?
He just gave up.
Yeah, he just quit.
Women are not without electoral or political power.
You know what's pathetic is none of these people can give a speech without a teleprompter.
Uh-huh. I don't know what his point was, but you know what he said? Women are not without political power. Women are
not without political power. Women are not without
double negative.
Too many negatives.
Yeah.
Anyways.
It's Kendall and Casey. It's 93 WIBC. Good morning.
Are you within 5 years of filing for Social Security? Get this, 96% of Americans, 96% forfeit an average of $111,000 in Social Security income, and it's all because, unfortunately, they file for their benefits at the wrong time. Learn how you can avoid this with a free customized Social Security analysis. It's from Bill Demery, your retirement guy right here in Indy.
So if you've saved more than $200,000 for retirement and have not yet filed for Social Security, schedule that free analysis right now by calling Bill Demery, 317-648-5120. Bill Demery. For some people, filing for Social Security early could result in more net income in retirement. The free analysis pinpoints exactly how you could get the most income from Social Security. Bill Demery, 317-648-5120. That's 317-648-5120.
Discover cancer care that empowers you at Community Health Network MD Anderson Cancer Center, with leading-edge treatment options right in your backyard.
I feel blessed and lucky. If I knew someone that was going through what I was going through, I would definitely encourage them to participate in a clinical trial. For me, it was life-changing.
Learn more at ecommunity.com/cancer.
Nobody cares for you like family. Family Heating and Air.
Hi, this is Malia with Family Heating and Air, and as a mom myself, I know it's really important to keep the kiddos healthy. Air quality, humidity, those are super big issues on my concern list. If you share any of these concerns, give family a call, 317-577-8077.
Family Heating and Air is your trusted local independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
Wealth-changing question. Has your advisor created a portfolio based only on your age and risk tolerance? That's simply not good enough. Your money deserves better, and so do you. At Creative Planning, our private wealth managers learn about you first, and then they create a customized plan and portfolio by partnering with our in-house money managers, accountants, and attorneys. Don't settle for a standard portfolio. Book your free meeting today at creativeplanning.com. Creative Planning, a richer way to wealth.
Seems like there's more identity theft in the news every day.
Another major healthcare breach was reported today, resulting in the exposure of
1 in 4 consumers have been a victim of identity theft.
That's because there are endless places that could accidentally expose you to identity theft, in a breach, or simply by mistake. LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points a second. If your identity is stolen, we'll fix it, guaranteed or your money back. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code NEWS at LifeLock.com. Terms apply.
Coming up in 2 minutes, this state senator is fed up with her own political party. Donnie Burgess will tell you why. Plus, an arrest made in one of 2 shootings that happened this morning. And the Indiana Hoosiers are eager to kick off their college football season. I'm Kurt Darling. That and more coming up from the Technology Recyclers studios after Fox News Radio. You're listening to 93 WIBC, WIBC HD1 Indianapolis. It's 10 o'clock.
He got We Love You Joe chants. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.
I love the job, but I love my country more.
President Biden getting a late night send-off on the opening night of the Democratic Convention.
We need you to beat Donald Trump.
And he hugged Vice President Harris on stage after saying she should be elected to replace him.
But she'll be a president our children can look up to.
Joe, thank you for your historic leadership.
Now, right after the president's speech, he flew to California for a vacation as Vice President Harris gets ready to accept the nomination with her convention closing speech on Thursday. Former President Trump is countering the Democrats, campaigning in battleground states. He'll be in Howell, Michigan, outside Detroit, the day after a trip to York, Pennsylvania.
The number one step we will take to launch a great American manufacturing renaissance will be to end Kamala Harris's war on American energy. It's a war.
More Palestinian protesters expected in Chicago near the Democratic Convention, angry about U.S. support of Israel in the war in Gaza the day after some broke through a barricade.
Initially, during the scuffle, police stood on the sidelines. Some were pelted with rocks and cans and bottles. Riot police came in on the run. They had headgear on. They had batons across their chest, and they moved those protesters step by step. They really penned them in and started to arrest some of the ringleaders.
That's Fox's Steve Harrigan in Chicago. In Gaza, Israeli forces recovered the bodies of 6 more hostages taken by Hamas in the October terror attack that triggered the war. As talks continue in Egypt, tried to broker a ceasefire.
American leaders had been expressing optimism that Hamas and Israel were close to a deal, with Secretary of State Antony Blinken announcing the Israelis had accepted a bridging proposal. But Hamas now insists the plan goes against what was previously agreed to, blaming Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu for moving the goalposts.
That's Fox's Jonathan Savage. America's listening to Fox News.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
She wants to see change. It's 62 and sunny downtown. Radar is clear. I'm Kirk Darling. Here's what's trending at 10:02. An independent investigation and overhaul of the way Indiana Democrats deal with sexual harassment is necessary, says one of the party's own. Donnie Burgess explains.
Democrat State Senator Andrea Hunley pointing the finger of disappointment at herself.
I learned my lesson, and I reminded myself that I was given a voice and a platform for a reason, and it wasn't to wait for somebody else to speak on my behalf. And so I'm speaking up now.
Hunley on Instagram says the state party does not have the will to take on the challenges of implementing new harassment policies. She also wants to see the results of the 2017 investigation into former Indianapolis Deputy Mayor Thomas Cook. Donnie Burgess, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
Meanwhile, Indiana's 88 delegates are in Chicago for the Democratic National Convention. Among them is Blythe Potter, who is fully behind Kamala Harris.
It is super exciting as a woman, as a mother, as a stepmother, to see someone who's like me.
She tells Wish TV that it's an electric atmosphere in Chicago this week. 2 shootings overnight in Indianapolis, one of them on the north side early this morning, where a man was killed near 29th and MLK. Another was later on in the morning, just north of Ascension St. Vincent Hospital on the north side. A person has been arrested for that shooting. Neglect charges, and a lot of them, for a woman in Evansville. Police say Catherine Fuchs was arrested after police found animal feces, trash, mold, and dead animals all throughout her home. All that with an underweight young child inside as well. After being arrested for several neglect charges, police say there was also no running water in the home. College football is getting closer to starting, and the Indiana Hoosiers in particular are getting their particulars together.
Plugging along, we're still in camp. You never arrive. That's the thing about
athletics, and you're always fighting human nature.
Head coach Kurt Signetti, the Hoosiers kick off against FIU in just 11 days. I'm Kurt Darling, on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
Pain from arthritis is just awful. That bone-on-bone pain is constant, and it robs you of so much of the stuff you love to do, but there are effective ways to deal with that pain. Tony Katz here. There are exciting new therapies that can get you lasting relief, and the place to go is QC Kinetics. QC Kinetics uses cutting-edge treatments that accelerate your own body's healing properties, revitalizing your joints so you can move again. If you're living with chronic pain from arthritis or injury, you need to know steroids and surgery and pain pills are no longer your only option. Learn how QC Kinetics can use advanced regenerative medicine to treat the pain, enhance your joints, restore your mobility, and give you long-term relief with no downtime. Talk to the medical professionals at QC Kinetics. Get your free consultation right now. QC Kinetics in Eagle Creek, in Greenwood, and in Carmel. Call 317-559-PAIN. 317-559-PAIN. Tell them Tony Katz sent you. Eagle Creek, Greenwood, Carmel, QC Kinetics. 317-559-PAIN.
You're listening to Rob Kendall.
When we talk about sending money somewhere, we're talking about printing the money because we have no money.
And Casey Daniels.
My government would never lie to me, would they?
On 93 WIBC.
Good morning. It is Tuesday, August 20th at 5 minutes after 10. He's Rob Kendall. My name is Casey Daniels, and a growing number of Americans pumping the brakes on spending, continuing to face prices that have been elevated, especially on necessities like food and rent, even car insurance. So let's talk about the price of rent, shall we? Saw this. The average price of rent in Carmel, this is astounding. $1,623.
Yeah, it's unbelievable, Casey. And I did a little experiment yesterday.
Yeah.
I went for my nightly walk. And when I walk now, I do my own walk by myself, and then I go with my family. So I have a few minutes to myself, and then
clear your head.
Then the ankle biter joins us.
Yeah.
For the family walk. And there was I was on my walk. There's a series of duplexes around the corner from where I live, and there was a for rent sign out. So you've probably seen these. They're brick buildings. The 2-bedroom, a little living room, a little kitchen area. I mean, again, there's like nothing to write home about this. You're not talking. This is not some 1,600 square foot apartment or whatever. I mean, it's a little duplex. I'm sure you have them in the communities in which you live. And so I thought there was a phone number on the sign. So I'm just going to call the phone number and find out, what it costs to rent one of these duplexes, because I had one that I lived in from 2010 to 2014, and it was $625 a month. $625 a month.
Add $1,000 to it now.
And now there was no garage, in fairness, and it was a little bit older building than the one that was being shown here. But just to give you an idea, it was $625 a month, and they never raised my rent in 4 years.
Yeah.
By the way, you want to talk about not knowing how good you had it, Casey? So I lived in this duplex, and there were 3 duplexes, and the middle duplex was owned and lived in by the landlord. So they owned the other 2, and they would go to, I think it was South Carolina for long periods of time, and then their son would run and manage the duplex. Well, he's like doing it to help his parents. They never rent the center one because they come back and live there.
Yeah.
And he didn't want to mess with it. So as people would move out over time, he just wasn't renting them to anyone else. And so at one point, I had a church on both sides of me.
Yeah.
So at one point, there was nobody else other than me on the complex. There was a church on both sides of me. So I literally, Casey, had an entire town block entirely to myself. Like I could have run around in the nude and nobody would have seen or heard anything.
Played your music loud.
And you just don't realize how good you have it until it's no longer there. Anyway, so I call his phone number, and lady was very nice. She answers the phone. And she's telling me all about the apartments. And again, they're just the basic double duplexes. There's thousands of them in central Indiana. Okay, how much?
I'm going to say $1,200.
You would be low.
Okay, $1,400.
$1,400.
Yeah.
And I was like, is that for the whole thing? She's like, no, it's for one side of the duplex.
Yeah.
$1,400 for a duplex that a decade ago was probably renting for maybe $700. That means that over the past decade, rent, the cost of housing has literally doubled.
The average price of rent in your beloved Brownsburg is $1,418.
And look, there are some very nice apartments there. There's some very nice apartments with, great amenities. I get that. This is not that. And so what you have is, and this is why this is important. What you have there is probably a lower income, or someone who would fall in a lower side of the income scale is more apt to want to rent these types. Doesn't always mean that, but generally that's who it's going to be. It's going to be older people. It's going to be fixed income people. You might maybe have a single parent who has a child, and you're pricing these people out of the ability to be able to afford housing.
I'm curious, did you ask, were utilities included with that?
No.
Trash
Utilities are
removal,
no.
water, none of that.
Now I think you get your trash with it, but no. In terms of the like the heat, electric, no, that's all water. That's all on you.
And of course, those rates are raising all the time as well. So you've just got to add that in.
Right. So if you take a person who is, let's say it's an elderly person that would tend to be living in these, because the lady told me, she said, yeah, an old, well, here's what was interesting too.
It's not a 55 and better community.
No. Then the lady told me, she was like, this lady that was there moved out and I raised the rate, and she was just candid with me. She's like, I did it because I can.
Yeah. Somebody will pay for it, right?
She's like, because I was kind of, just shooting the breeze with her after she was very nice. And, again, not her problem, but she's like, yeah, I raised the rate. I can. And it was like, well, hard to argue with that in a capitalistic society. But it comes back to, when you were gone last week, we had a guy named Brendan Ballou on the show. He's a federal prosecutor, actually wrote a book about how private equity is just destroying our society. And this is one of the things we got into with him, which is private equity is buying all of these properties. They're buying these homes. They're turning them into rentals. They're raising the rates. They're skyrocketing the price of buying a home. People can't afford to do that. Now they're getting pushed into the renters market. And now these landlords are like, why would I take $1,100 when I can get $1,400? But what's happening is, one, it's making housing unaffordable, but two, it's taking all the discretionary income from these people, all their ability to participate in the economy, and it is sucking that away from them because it's all going to necessities.
Right. And they're just doing that to live. So there's this new poll that came out that says 62% of Americans feel like their purchasing power and income has reached its limit. They're like, I can't do any more. Quit raising the rates because we've hit our max. And 79% of people said that when it comes to household items like cereal and chips, they're now having to downsize the serving size.
That double I lived in, because the landlord lived around the corner from me. And I actually went to school with I guess they would be his nephews. He was always just like, yeah, just put it in the box around the first of the month. And sometimes it'd be
whatever.
And it wasn't like I was denying him his rent. You just forget about it. And it was like, yeah, sometimes it'd be the 4th. Sometimes.
And no late fee.
No, it's just like, yeah, whatever. And today it's like, back then we were, oh man, $625 a month. Man, that's ridiculous. And now it's like you'd give an arm to have a
place that nice. So the average apartment size around Indianapolis is 877 square feet.
Yeah, that seems about right.
That duplex is a little bit larger.
Yeah, that'd be close. So, but again, it's like you see this with everything. The mortgages are all going up, and they're jumping dramatically because of property taxes, because of insurance. You're seeing the rent jump dramatically. People are, going to have to start making really, really hard choices very soon.
Well, Kamala Harris says that she's going to start passing out free money for people to buy houses.
Oh, yeah,
right?
That'll work. That's always worked.
Yeah,
totally. What a great idea.
That's going to kick up the price of everybody else's house, which will in turn raise their property taxes as well. Okay, so the Indianapolis City County Council took, I guess you could call it, first steps towards investigating the Hogsett administration's handling of that sexual harassment allegation of Thomas Cook.
Now, wait. Let's fill everybody in.
Okay.
What would just remind people. So Thomas Cook, Brownsburg High School graduate, was the was the chief of staff, right-hand man, deputy mayor for Joe Hogsett. Multiple articles have now been written in both Indy Star and Mirror Indy about his alleged inappropriate behavior with women, where he was using his position of power to force these women into positions and do things they didn't want to do of a sexual nature.
Yep.
And it is very clear, based on the electronic and audio correspondence provided by Mirror Indy and Indy Star, that Joe Hogsett was informed of these behaviors, was informed that this was taking place, and did absolutely nothing about it. You might even say probably helped cover it up.
Okay, so State Senator Andrea Hundley, she issued a statement.
She's a Democrat.
Yep. She issued a statement on sexual harassment allegations against Cook. And she went on to say that the Indiana Democratic Party lacks organizational skills and will to address any sexual harassment prevention.
I spent a decade serving as an organizational leader with 50 employees directly reporting to me. And here's what I know about relationships in the workplace. There's no such thing as a consensual relationship when there is an imbalance of power. This is why in most workplace HR policies, relationships have to be reported to human resources so that proper protections and supports can be put into place to account for those power differentials. And yet somehow the city of Indianapolis, one of the largest employers in the county with over 7,500 staff members across over 30 divisions, doesn't have a comprehensive sexual harassment prevention policy or reporting mechanisms. And neither does the Indiana Democratic Party, the organization that trains Democratic volunteers and candidates, county party members, and elected officials. The organization that provides advice and guidance around everything from campaign finance to social media strategy. They lack the organizational will to address sexual harassment prevention head on.
She went on to say that she was disappointed that she waited to speak up about the issue.
Yeah, but you know what? Awfully, okay, so like Haley Colombo, I think, was who put this out, because she was part of, with James Briggs, the original story in Indy Star that broke on this.
Right.
And she said she had reached out as part of that story to Mike Schmuel. Mike Schmuel's the head of the Indiana Democrat Party. Seems like a very nice guy. In fact, we've had him on the show before, and actually talked to him the other day at that lieutenant governor's debate. Seems like a very nice guy. But when he got asked about this, he just kind of went, I wasn't a part of that campaign, and I've never worked with Thomas Carl Cook, and basically ain't my problem. And it's like, but wait a second. It is your problem, because Joe Hogsett is arguably the most prominent Democrat in the entire state of Indiana. He's certainly the most high-profile elected Democrat in the state of Indiana. Maybe Andre Carson is a congressman, but I would argue that way more people know who Joe Hogsett is than Andre Carson. And you are the party of believe all women. This is your whole thing. And for you to just be dismissive of it, it's like, boy, that is a really weak response that he gave to the Indy Star.
Well, he is the state party chair. So, yeah, it is his problem. He did say that this type of behavior should never be tolerated, particularly from a person of authority or power, and the party condemns it. But again, start taking steps to rectify it.
Okay, so what's worse? Hogsett and Cook, or Holcomb and Knoll? Because I think a reasonable person,
good question,
in both of these cases would come to the conclusion, whether you knew to the extent or not, both Holcomb knew something was going on with Knoll, and certainly didn't do anything about it, and is denying any knowledge about it to this day, which is utterly ridiculous, that your best friend and one of your closest political allies was living millions of dollars above his lifestyle and normal means, and you didn't know anything. Or Hogsett playing stupid on Thomas Carl Cook. In both of these cases, you have people who are very connected to the power source, very apart not only as personal friends, but also the political operation. And in both cases, they were engaging, allegedly, in highly egregious behavior that was harming lots of people. And yet, in both cases, Hogsett and Holcomb both playing stupid. Which one is worse, and which one is less believable? Hogsett didn't know about Cook, or Holcomb didn't know about Jamie Knoll?
I think it's more believable that, I don't know. I was going to say the Hogsett didn't know about Cook.
The answer is neither one of them is believable. It's both ridiculous. They're both ridiculous.
Hogsett at least came out and said that, Hogsett came out and said that he was betrayed, right? Holcomb, Holcomb, right, playing the victim. Holcomb came out and said, well, let's wait until the investigation's over.
All right, True Crime Tuesday's next. What do we got?
Oh, yeah, we've got Scott Bond is his name, and he's a public speaker and an author, and he has this book out called Why We Love Serial Killers.
Oh, yeah.
He's going to be in Indianapolis on October 11th, and good stuff from him is coming up. True Crime Tuesday on the way from 93 WIBC.
Tony Katz.
No one from the Indiana Republican Party is going to demand Joe Hogsett be fired. No one from the Indiana Democratic Party, which claims to actually care about women, although they can't define it, they're not going to demand Joe Hogsett be fired. And if you want to know why the story matters, the Republicans on the council don't know how to speak up. Cowardice is not something that should be rewarded with your vote. And silence leads to the death of a city and a soul. And we shouldn't be those people.
Tony Katz, mornings 6 to 9 on 93 WIBC and WIBC.com.
Your home is your sanctuary. Get the peace of mind you deserve with a free estimate on a Generac automatic standby generator for your home from Generator Supercenter, the nation's #1 Generac generator dealer. With expert installation and 24-hour monitoring, Generator Supercenter won't leave you in the dark. Financing is available. Take control of your power today with Generator Supercenter. Call 317-827-0808. Generator Supercenter of Indianapolis, 317-827-0808.
Kendall and Casey present True Crime Tuesday on 93 WIBC.
Yeah, it is that time. It's True Crime Tuesday here on 93 WIBC. It is the Kendall and Casey Show. Special guest today. His name is Scott Bond, PhD. He is a producer, a TV commentator, podcast host, public speaker, and author of the best-selling popular culture book, Why We Love Serial Killers, The Curious Appeal of the World's Most Savage Murderers. All right, Scott, let's get right into it. Why is so much of the populace fascinated with serial killers?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, and I think it has to do with multiple factors, but starting with the word empathy. I think we as humans were drawn to both the good and the bad, but we're particularly attracted to things that are larger than life and actually very dangerous and could hurt us. And so I'm talking about things even in nature like hurricanes and tsunamis and things like that, but then also in nature things like the great white shark and tigers. And in that regard, I think that a serial killer represents this larger-than-life predator that has this incredible fascination for us. I've even gone as far as to draw a parallel between the great white shark and a serial killer and our fascination in that they have three things in common. They're both very rare, they're exotic, and they're deadly. And if you take it a step further and look at a serial killer like Jeffrey Dahmer, he actually ate people. So that's four things that they have in common with a great white shark. And I think we're drawn to them to try to understand how they can do the incomprehensible things that they do. And if we can somehow wrap our minds around it, then maybe they're not so terrifying after all, and we can sleep better at night.
Scott Bond is our guest. He is the author of the best-selling book, Why We Love Serial Killers, The Curious Appeal of the World's Most Savage Murderers. All right, Scott, now for me, I look at guys like BTK, Dennis Rader. I look at guys like John Wayne Gacy. I look at guys like Ted Bundy. And what stands out to me is how in their public persona, they were these incredibly nice guys. Oh, Gacy was giving young people jobs. Bundy was Mr. Charisma. BTK was a community guy and church guy. It's the double persona of these people where it's like they turn a switch and they turn into some sort of monster far different from what they present as their daily lives.
Yeah, absolutely. It's that Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde persona that at the same time makes them compelling and invisible and able to do the things that they do, and at the same time also then just makes them such a mystery. How can they pull it off? And it's through what you said. You referred to it as flipping a switch. Well, in psychology, we call it compartmentalization. It's this ability to just live these separate, dual, and conflicting lives and do so without having any sort of contradiction or anxiety or seeing anything wrong with it. I mean, I pointed it out. I've dealt with a number of these individuals, and I pointed it out to Dennis Rader. I said, how can you, on the one hand, be daddy, family man, Boy Scout leader, church leader, as you mentioned, and then also psychopathic torturer and killer? And he just looked at me and as if I was the crazy one, because in his mind, it's two separate things. They don't exist in the same space and time, so therefore, no anxiety, no contradiction. But yeah, it's truly incredible, and it's one of the things that, of course, just makes them so incredibly enthralling and interesting.
Yeah, you mentioned enthralling and interesting. Why do you think people latch on to them and they become cultural figures? Like, what is it that makes people want to read about them and learn about them?
That's the great question, and it has to do, I think, with the extreme nature of it. I touched on it already briefly, that I think it has to do with our subconscious. We humans don't like ambiguity. We don't like not understanding something. It's unsettling to us. So if we can somehow wrap our minds around it, maybe then it's just not so terrifying after all. But the true crime audience is actually predominantly female. About 80% of the audience that watches the shows on HLN and Oxygen and ID, and for that matter, comes to my live theatrical show that I'm bringing there to Indianapolis, is about 80% women. And that has to do, I've learned by talking directly to my audience, with the identification with the victim, which more often than not is female, a woman in these true crime stories. So, the old adage, there for the grace of God go I, and many women are looking for security. They're looking for clues. How can I be sure that I don't date the next Ted Bundy, that I don't get involved with the next psychopath? So some of it is very practical. They're looking for real information, and so I think that is a tremendous part of it. At another level, it's a whodunit story, especially the cases that are live and in the news. I was very involved with the Long Island serial killer story. So there, it's this ongoing investigation and whodunit, and people like to play armchair detective. So I think that has an appeal. And, and then there's another psychological aspect to it as well, which is, we all have, certain dark tendencies, and we might say to ourselves, man, that boss of mine, I hate that SOB, I could kill him. Well, we don't really do it, but these individuals do. So it compels us to a certain extent to look at ourselves in the mirror and say, what might I be capable under extreme circumstances? So I think it's multifaceted, the interest.
Scott, we'll get to the show here in just a minute, but I wanted to ask you, are there different profiling techniques based on the crime that was committed?
Well, the way that I do it, and there's different ways of profiling these individuals, but the classic way that was developed by the FBI in the 1970s by a late friend of mine, great investigator. His name was Roy Hazelwood, and your audience may be familiar with John Douglas and Bob Ressler and a few others. And these are the guys whose adventures were depicted in the TV series Mindhunter on Netflix. But the way that it's done, and it's extremely effective and accurate, is you work backwards. And by that, what I mean is you look at the minute details of the crime scenes of a given serial killer, an unknown killer. And their patterns tend to be very consistent and repetitive. So you look at the minute details, particularly how they dispose of the bodies, and then you look to match these to similar details in solved cases, the Green River Killer, BTK, Bundy, etc., like we've been talking about, and you can develop a profile. And that's how I developed a profile for the Long Island serial killer all the way back in 2011 that ended up being 100% accurate with Rex Hewerman, who was arrested for the crimes last year.
Scott Bond is our guest. He is the author of the very popular book, Why We Love Serial Killers, The Curious Appeal of the World's Most Savage Murderers. Scott, you're coming to Indianapolis October the 11th. It's a show on the Schrott Center for the Arts on Butler's campus. Tell us about it.
Absolutely. I am so excited. I'm bringing my show there. And what I do is it's about a 90-minute show in total, and it consists of 2 acts. And act number 1 is where I take my audience deep inside the minds of some of the most diabolical characters of all time that I've dealt directly with and been involved in their cases, like David Berkowitz, the infamous son of Sam, as well as Dennis Rader, who called himself Bind, Torture, Kill, because that's what he did to people, as well as the Long Island serial killer, Rex Heuermann, that I just mentioned. And these are all unique adventures and experiences based directly on my own work, so you're not going to find this anywhere else. And then the show is also highly interactive. In the second act, what I do is I open up to audience Q&A, questions and answers, and here's the opportunity for you to ask anything you ever wanted to know about serial killers and get it directly from me. And I get so many questions. I often will get even hundreds of questions in a given evening and can't possibly get to them all. So it shows just how interested people are in asking these questions. And it's also includes multimedia. I've got video, snippets of interviews and things like that. So it's designed to be at the same time informative, also burst some myths about serial killers along the way, and in addition to be informative, to also be highly entertaining. So there's thrills and chills throughout the night as well.
ButlerArtsCenter.org. ButlerArtsCenter.org is where you could get your tickets. All right, Scott, before we let you go, the book, as we said, Why We Love Serial Killers, The Curious Appeal of the World's Most Savage Murderers. You mentioned sitting down with guys or talking to guys like BTK. And this is going to sound like an awful question, but I think it's something that many people would say, yeah, I might do that. Do you get starstruck?
I wouldn't say starstruck. In fact, what I have to do is remind myself who and what I'm dealing with. I'm not dealing with a normal human being here. Even though they may present themselves as normal, they're really not. They're completely unplugged emotionally and empathetically from other living things. So they're more machine-like. And so what I really need to do is create a little bit of a buffer, a professional buffer, an emotional buffer, almost to protect myself in between me and him or her at the time we're having these conversations, and always remind myself that they are manipulative by nature and they will try to amuse themselves. So they will try to toy with you. So it's quite, if people remember the infamous, or not infamous, the classic Silence of the Lambs movie, it's quite a bit like playing Clarice Starling to Hannibal Lecter, and so there's a little bit of a chess match there, going back and forth, a give and take, and so yeah, I just need to remind myself exactly who and what I'm dealing with.
Scott, did you have a favorite or one that sticks out in your mind or stays with you?
Yeah, well, probably the one who is just almost incomprehensible, even for professionals. And Roy Hazelwood, who I mentioned before with the FBI, passed away, but he interviewed them all, pretty much all of them, anyone you can name. And he said the most stone cold psychopath he ever dealt with was Dennis Rader, BTK. And I would have to concur, because he is just he's more of a predator of nature than he is a human being. And he summed it up to me when I asked him what compels him, what satisfaction does he get from killing? And he's a strangler. And he says, as I'm strangling them and as I see the life go out of their eyes and go dark, in that very moment, I know that I am God.
Well, on that uplifting note, Scott, we bid adieu. The book, Why We Love Serial Killers, The Curious Appeal of the World's Most Savage Murders. And you can see him October the 11th at the Schrott Center for the Arts on Butler's campus. Scott Bond, thank you, my friend.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.
It's True Crime Tuesday on 93 WIBC.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
Upset with his time slot. It's 64 and sunny downtown. I'm Kirk Darling. Here's what's trending at 10:34. Some people are not happy that President Biden's primetime address at the DNC last night was not quite that.
Democrats pushed the president out of primetime just 4 weeks after they pushed him out of the race entirely, and it reportedly didn't go over well with his allies. One longtime Biden aide texted a reporter, quote, "This is awful. He literally set up a campaign and handed it over to them. Do they have to cut him out of primetime?" This was the only night of the convention that was all about Joe Biden.
Fox's Jackie Heinrich. There's new fencing around the United Center following a breach during a protest at the DNC. Just as delegates were arriving yesterday at the arena, some pro-Palestinian protesters broke through the outer security fence. At least 4 people were arrested. Ranked number 7 in the preseason AP Top 25, Notre Dame head coach Marcus Freeman says that this year's squad exudes preparedness.
I told our coaching staff, man, that's the most prepared group I've been a part of. Both sides of the ball. Really competing, really executing.
Now in his 3rd full season leading the Fighting Irish, they open against number 20 Texas A&M in College Station August 31st. I'm Kirk Darling on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
$5,000. That's the average amount of money people in the U.S. are now spending on gas in a year. $5,000. That's crazy. If you drive, you have to download Upside, the free app that gives you cash back every time you get gas. That's right. You can earn real cash back with Upside just by buying the gas you're already buying. You can literally start earning cash back today.
I use Upside every time I fill up, and I've already made around $200-300.
You're putting gas in your car anyway. Why not get real cash back? If you like free money, download Upside.
I'm saving the cash I earn from using Upside to help pay for a vacation later this year.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code TURN to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code TURN for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code TURN for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
Seems like there's more identity theft in the news every day.
Another major healthcare breach was reported today, resulting in the exposure of
Now, 1 in 4 consumers have been a victim of identity.
That's because there are endless places that could accidentally expose you to identity theft, in a breach, or simply by mistake. LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points a second. If your identity is stolen, we'll fix it, guaranteed or your money back. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code NEWS at LifeLock.com. Terms apply.
Transform your home with Galaxy Concrete Coatings. Say goodbye to cracked, stained floors and hello to durable, stunning surfaces that last. Their cutting-edge technology ensures a beautiful finish every time, and you get to pick out from their many colors. Upgrade your home today like I did. Galaxy Concrete Coatings. They're for garage floors, driveways, pool decks, and patios. They come with a lifetime warranty and 1-day professional installation. Call now for a free estimate. 877-417-0635. They're also online at galaxyconcretecoatings.com.
To celebrate, be employee owned, Be's offering employee pricing 60% off plus 18 months, no interest, no payment.
Proud to be employee owned. Trust me.
Life insurance is one of those things that just about everybody needs, but few people actually have. Hey, if you die unexpectedly without life insurance, guess what? You'll leave your family with even a bigger mess. Life insurance will help replace your family's income. It'll help cover burial expenses. Life insurance can even help pay off debt like credit cards and medical bills. Life insurance can even pay for college. And if you own a business and you die, life insurance can help your business from collapsing. It can even help cover estate taxes. Life insurance has never been more affordable and needed. Plus, you can always shop around even if you have a plan and save some money. So call the Life Insurance Quote Line right now for free pricing information.
800-917-8730. 800-917-8730. 800-917-8730. That's 800-917-8730.
Guys, we're notorious for putting things off. But when it comes to plumbing problems, you don't have to live that way. If you're tired of taking showers with low water pressure or not enough hot water, you've got to stop putting it off and call Lance and the local team at LD Smith Plumbing and ask about water heater specials. These are the guys I trust in my house and in my friends' houses and my relatives' houses, and they're the licensed plumbers you want in your house too. LDSmithPlumbing.com. That's ldsmithplumbing.com.
As fall approaches, you have a lot to prepare for. Back to school, sporting events, family gatherings, and staying on top of your health. The virus that causes COVID-19 continues to evolve. So this fall, no matter what you're prepping for, you can prioritize your family's health and make a game plan for COVID-19 vaccination. Ask your doctor or pharmacist to learn more. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Research shows smoking costs Indiana businesses $3.1 billion every year. It also shows that an extra $2 per pack tax on cigarettes would drastically reduce smoking, which could save lives, create jobs, and infuse the state of Indiana with hundreds of millions of dollars annually. Read the reports from the Richard M. Fairbanks Foundation at thepriceofsmoking.org and see for yourself how an extra $2 per pack tax on cigarettes can have a positive impact on Hoosiers.
Healthcare.gov is here for you when life happens. If you lost your health coverage because of turning 26, going off Medicaid, leaving your job, or moving, you could be eligible to enroll in new coverage now. And if you need to update your coverage because of marriage or having a baby, you could also be eligible. But don't wait. There's a limited time to enroll. Check your eligibility at healthcare.gov today. Life happens. Get covered. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
You're listening to the Kendall and Casey Show on 93 WIBC. It's time to hear from you. Kendall and Casey present Voicemails. Brought to you by QC Kinetics for non-surgical regenerative medicine treatment at 317-559-PAIN.
The phone number to get involved, 317-684-8444. So the Republican representative from New York, George Santos, he pled guilty to fraud charges, 2 campaign fraud charges yesterday, and probably made his problems not near as bad as they could have been by agreeing to a plea deal, admitting guilt as opposed to wasting a lot of taxpayers' money. But somebody wanted to call and talk about him.
I was listening to you talk about George Santos. I don't like George Santos. Don't care for him whatsoever. And probably all the stuff he's been accused of, he probably did it. But, you know, they could take down any one of these people at any time if they really wanted to. You know what I mean? Bob Menendez, you know, whoever else it is. They're all crooks. I'm not saying every single solitary one of them, but they're all cheating. They're all taking money. I believe a lot of them know now how to that the elections are. Again, I believe there's all kinds of fraud in the elections. That's the whole way so many of these people are getting elected with no accountability. They're not worried about performance and everything else. I'm still not sure how Cory Bush or the other dude in New York lost because, I mean, they can steal and cheat, so I'm not really sure what happened there. But I'm just saying they could take any of these people down.
Okay, so George Santos is still going to have to pay at least $373,000 in restitution.
And speaking of people who could go to prison for making up donors, update, Abdul won his protective order hearing today against gutless Gabe Whitley, who didn't show up because Gabe knows he will be arrested when he does show up in public because there's a warrant for his arrest. So Mr. Huff and Puff, I'll blow your house down once the heat got turned up on him. He is now on the lam. If you see or know where Gabe Whitley is, please alert the authorities so they may come arrest him because he certainly didn't have the cojones to show up to
his court date
today with Abdul. So Abdul got his protective order. Abdul will be with us next hour to talk about gutless Gabe Whitley on the lam.
The Indiana version of George Santos.
Yeah, and so hopefully maybe he and Santos will share a cell together when it's all said and done.
Okay, so somebody wanted to call and tell us their thoughts on the DNC last night.
Never in my nearly 78 years have I heard 3 chronological adults stand in front of a friendly audience and a nationwide TV audience tell as many lies as were told by AOC, Hillary Clinton, and Joe Biden in Chicago. unbelievable.
Yeah, and they just kept going with it too, didn't they? I mean, Biden was still going with the fine people hoax.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But they get away with it, right? I mean, that's why they do it. They get away with it. I mean, that you have to be an absolute sheep of the highest order to as many times. And it is not just like Breitbart that's refuting it. I mean, these mainstream liberal networks have refuted it, that he's lying. He lies all the time. That is Joe Biden is a dirty scumbag liar. That's what he's been his entire life. He's a thief. He's a plagiarizer. He is a total greaseball.
And I don't know who the woman was, but she was talking and she was saying how, the Republicans, they're going to lock up their opposition and all these bring lawsuits against Democrats. You're telling on yourself every time you speak, because it's exactly what they were doing to Donald Trump.
All right. We got to take a break because Hammer and I have a new endeavor we're embarking on to beginning tomorrow. And so we need plenty of time to tell the masses all about our new little venture that we hope you'll participate with us on.
All right. Exciting stuff coming up with 93 WIBC.
Hammer and Nigel show. We start at 3:06 in the afternoon. Brian Kilmeade of Fox News will join us. The latest from the DNC. We'll do caller roulette. Let's have a good time. 93 WIBC.
Hey guys, it's Rob from my friends and family at Life Church. We love Life Church. They've had such an amazing impact on my life, on my wife's life, on my daughter's life, and they would love the opportunity to show you what they're all about. You got nothing to lose and everything to gain, and Life Church is warm. They're welcoming. Many WIBC listeners have found a home at Life Church over the years, so you know you're in good company. And I think one of the many reasons why is they treat you like an individual there. You're so much more than just a number. See for yourself. Campuses all across central Indiana, Noblesville, Fishers, Eagle Creek, and Pendleton, plus awesome online services. Learn more about everything at lifechurchin.com.
The search for the temporary fix. It's led you back there again, in the pharmacy aisle, looking for the new and improved pill or spray that will clear up your stuffy nose. And you'll give it a try because at least it helps you breathe, right? Yeah, it does. And it may work, but it's hurting you more than it's helping. I'm Dr. Madan Kandula with Advent, where we've pioneered simple solutions to nasal breathing problems without the pain and inconvenience of surgery. In-office procedures like balloon sinuplasty require 0 surgical cuts, little to no downtime, and can have you breathing better in less than 30 minutes. There are few, if any, practices that have been performing the balloon sinuplasty procedure longer than Advent. That's why we're a global destination for those living with nasal breathing problems. Visit AdventKnows.com to see if you're a candidate for balloon sinuplasty, because Advent knows when you breathe well, you live better.
Breathe well with simple solutions. AdventKnows.com.
Life's full of unexpected joys, like problems with water. That's why there's Michaelis, a crew of 24/7 experts who are rescue ready, day or night. One phone call for a gazillion disasters, from frozen pipes and sewer backups to your teenager pleading ignorance on the proper use of a plunger. At Michaelis, they know that water damage waits for no one. Their fleet of trucks is, well, fleet. Over 3 decades of finding the source of the problem, then cleaning up, drying out, and restoring your home or business to better than new condition. That's Michaelis, fully licensed and insured, and fully empathetic to your anxiety, including dealing with insurance claims. Water, storms, fire, and wet basements. Life happens. Michaelis happens to help you through it. Call 844-FIX-INDY. Make it Michaelis.
Fox, CNN, other news sources are reporting home prices are expected to decline into 2025, even after the election. Maximize your home sales price now, before this downturn, with the agent proven to sell for top dollar, Mark Deedle. Maybe you're worried about costly repairs or upgrades to sell your home. Mark Deedle guarantees your home sold at a mutually agreed upon price and deadline, or he will buy it. Listen to what Tom and Kim from Sharpeville had to say about working with Mark Deedle. We were wanting to move to Florida and looking to sell our home. We wanted to sell quick and with an agent who would maximize the sales price. After being approached by Mark Deedle's team, we knew they were right for us. It was incredible. Mark sold our home on the first day at full price. Call the local Indianapolis agent I trust and recommend, and the agent who guarantees your home sold or he'll buy it. Call Mark Dietel at 317-755-4232 for all the details, or go online to markdietel.com. That's Mark, DIETEL.com. markdietel.com. Tell him Rob sent you.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-488-2594. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS.
Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start.
Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems.
We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau.
You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-488-2594. That's 800-488-2594. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Must qualify for enrollment. Results may vary.
At Franciscan Health Indiana Blood and Marrow Transplant Program, we treat you like family. Our cancer specialists provide around-the-clock physician access and deliver groundbreaking treatments to face cancer head-on. With over 25 years of experience treating complex blood cancers, we're a top 100 hospital for bone marrow transplants by CareChex and rank in the top 12 nationwide for allogeneic transplant survivals. Visit franciscanhealth.org to learn more and find hope in our compassionate care.
Okay, raise your hand if you want to make your life a little bit easier. Great. Now raise your other hand if you like to be comfortable. Perfect. Now that you have both hands raised, imagine putting on your shoes. And that, folks, right there is your answer to an easier, more comfortable life. Go hands-free with Skechers Slip-ins. This is footwear you don't need your hands to put on. They can be raised in the air, and you can just step it and go. Why don't you experience what people can't stop talking about? Life-changing Skechers Slip-ins. Get your Slip-ins at a Skechers store, Skechers.com, or wherever stylish footwear is sold.
There he is. Hammer joins us from the Hammer and Nigel program. Good morning.
Good morning. Store.hammerandnigel.com. Get your hoodies. It's going to be fall before you know it. Big, comfortable Hammer and Nigel Show hoodies. And you can also check out the Rob Kendall collection, store.hammerandnigel.com.
All right, you and me, we're heading into the business world together. We've got a big endeavor we're embarking on later this afternoon.
So we are officially rolling out our sports betting podcast.
Yeah.
Now, I used to have the radio show here and the TV show, and I'm excited for this because I feel like you and I can have a lot of fun with this. I almost feel like you've been my understudy in this whole sports betting, degenerate gambling world. So the name of the podcast will be The Degenerates Next Door.
In tribute to your famed bet each week, which is the Degenerate Special, where you bet on a game that only a gambling degenerate would be willing to bet on.
Right. And we're going to be doing this 2 times a week. We will have a fresh episode for you on Wednesdays, which will focus on college football, and a fresh episode for you on Fridays, which will focus on the NFL. Now, the Wednesday episode, if there's Thursday NFL football, we'll touch on that too. So we'll get a little bit of everything in the mix, but the focus of the shows will be the first podcast of the week, Wednesday, college, and Thursday night pro. And then Friday, weekend football, the NFL especially.
Yeah, so we're going to be putting the first one together today. We'll try to get that up for you as a little treat, a little bit ahead of schedule. And it's gonna be fun, right? Too many of these sports betting people just take it way too serious. We are dudes who hate to lose money, and we are gonna do a podcast for dudes like dudes.
You look at some of these other shows, right? Like the betting hosts on ESPN. Does anybody want to hang out with these people?
Yeah.
They're male Kardashians, right? They've had more Botox than the people at the DNC on
high
stage.
maintenance for you.
Right. Nobody wants to hang out with those people. And the other option you see in the sports betting world, incredibly hot chicks with big jugs. While I'm working on the jugs here, we're just dudes. This is a show for dudes. And we're going to do the homework. We're going to dive in. We're going to crunch the numbers.
Yep.
And if you want to follow us, that's great. If you want to fade us, that's great too. We will have a social media handle, hopefully ready for you by tomorrow. And man, I'm excited for it.
Okay, so during this podcast, will there be Hammer picks and Rob picks?
Yes.
You guys are going to reveal who people should be betting on.
Like when Hammer makes a bad choice, I'll be like, why would anyone listen to you? You're fat. I mean, it's a great example of how it's going to go.
And I would counter with Rob saying, you're the cheapest man alive. Why would you not put more money on something if you feel so good about it?
Right. So right now, if you go to WIBC.com under the shows tab, you can see we got a page up there, the Degenerates,
Degenerates Next Door.
Yes, Degenerates Next Door page, or you can just put the Degenerates Next Door wherever you get your podcast. You can go ahead and subscribe, and then you get all the fun with us.
Okay, what motivated you guys to get together to do this? You just
Greed.
thought, okay.
Yes.
We can do better than
Just
anyone
greed.
else out there.
Just general greed.
I'm going to be doing this anyway.
Right.
So I might as well have somebody I can make fun of on a show.
Right.
Right? So, because Big Nige doesn't dabble too much into the gambling world. Scott Long, he'll be on the show from time to time, but he's out doing comedy on the roads and stuff. So it's time for the understudy to come along here. I'm Obi-Wan, and then young Darth Vader, young Anakin's over here.
Yeah.
And we're ready to do this thing.
Young Padawan learner.
So hard to read for the prompter on TV. I'm looking forward to not having a prompter. I can just kind of say
How very
whatever I
Joe
wanna say.
Biden of you.
It's very, look over here. No, look over there. I was like, where do I look? Look at the guy waving his hands, idiot. So I'm excited for this, man. College football is here. It is week 0 coming up on Saturday.
We've got 4 games to pick, and we're going to pick all 4 week 0 games when our podcast is live, hopefully this afternoon, and then we'll talk about it a little bit more tomorrow.
What do you got coming up on your radio program today? I mean, there's more than just the Degenerates Next Door. Oh, boy, easy enough for me to say.
So last night I thought the protesters in Chicago would be the story, right? But then Joe Biden happened. And they pushed that old goat as late as they could. And he didn't get on stage till around 11:30 last night. And he spoke for about 45 minutes. He didn't wrap up until like 12:15 Eastern time. And he was loud. He was angry. There were no fact checkers willing to corral his bull crap.
Yeah, what did you do to make him so mad at you? He was yelling at you all night long.
That's what Joe Biden does. Like, I think they wrote the teleprompter in all caps. I mean, he was screaming it. I don't know what they doped him up with, whether it was that White House cocaine or whether it was black tar heroin. I don't know, but he was on a bender last night. And again, where are all these fact checkers I hear so much about?
And where's Hunter?
Where's Hunter? Where is he?
Where's Hunter? All right, new podcast, The Degenerates Next Door. Hammer and Nigel show this afternoon. You're the best. Thank you.
Thank you.
It is Kendall and Casey. It's 93 WIBC.
Sinus pain. You know it all too well. It's constant. It's frustrating. The pressure, the headaches, the snoring, the constant clogged feeling. You're tired of feeling like this, but you've tried nasal sprays, over-the-counter medicines, even home remedies. No matter what you try, nothing gives you lasting sinus relief. You're tired of missing out and feeling miserable. There is something you can do. Something different. Indianapolis Sinus Center. The physicians at Indianapolis Sinus Center have been serving the community with proven treatments for over 50 years. They know what you're going through, and they're standing by ready to offer you the best treatments to provide long-term relief. Breathe better. You don't have to keep suffering from sinus pain. Call Indianapolis Sinus Center today at 317-528-9650 and take the first step toward relief. 317-528-9650. That's 317-528-9650 or go to IndianapolisSinusCenter.com.
Hey, listen, are you a 50-year-old person looking for term life insurance? Then you need to talk to Bob. Bob specializes in helping people find $1 million or more of term life insurance for a couple of $100 a month. Look, you need to know there's a price war in the term life insurance business, and you may be paying too much. Call Bob, and he'll shop and see how much money he can save you. Look, this could be the last term life insurance policy you ever have. Your rates are guaranteed for the next 20 years. That's right, guaranteed level rates for the next 20 years. And if you're a smoker or your health is not perfect, Bob has great rates for you too. So for $1 million of term life insurance coverage for a couple of $100 a month, call Bob right now. 800-890-5075. 800-890-5075. 800-890-5075. That's 800-890-5075. Paid for by Term Direct.
Hey, checking in?
This is not just your flu shot appointment at Walgreens.
Yes. Uh-huh.
This is getting your entire family vaccinated in one trip.
Hey, Mom?
And a snack on the way out. Get flu shots for everyone in your family, together. Schedule appointments online today. This is wellness made easy. Walgreens.
Vaccine subject to availability and for ages 3+. State and health-related restrictions may apply.
It's not too late to get the backyard of your dreams this year. Expand your living space with an Indy Decorative Concrete patio. Indy Decorative Concrete, the patio experts. Big enough to service, small enough to care.
Coming up in 2 minutes, a recent scandal in the mayor's office has one state lawmaker a little upset. Plus, Ryan Hedrick reports on a bad crash that happened in northern Indiana and what the state and Planned Parenthood have agreed to, at least for now. I'm Kurt Darling. That and more coming up from the Technology Recyclers Studios after Fox News Radio at the top of the hour. You're listening to 93 WIBC, WIBC HD1 Indianapolis. It's 11 o'clock.
She'll be leaving Chicago. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. Ahead of the second night of the Democratic Convention, Vice President Harris will go to Milwaukee for a rally with running mate Tim Walz.
Democratic presidential nominee has repeatedly said the path to the White House goes through Wisconsin. This latest trip marking her 7th visit to the swing state this year and her 3rd since launching her presidential campaign. The rally expected to kick off before primetime speeches at the DNC, where former President Barack Obama is set to be the main speaker.
That's Fox's Kristen Goodwin in Chicago, where Democrats gave President Biden a late-night send-off.
For 50 years, like many of you, I've given my heart and soul to our nation.
He pledged his support for the vice president to be his replacement, calling former President Trump a loser. And then after midnight, the president flew to California to go on vacation, saying on the tarmac at the airport he thinks he could have been reelected.
Well, you know, I always think he could have won. And if you go back and look at the numbers, we weren't that far behind.
To counter the Democrats' convention, there are Trump events all week in battleground states. Today, the former president will be in Howell, Michigan, outside Detroit, the day after he campaigned in York, Pennsylvania, after a U.S. government update on foreign election interference.
The intelligence agencies say they're confident that Iran was responsible for hacking the Trump campaign, tried to hack the Harris campaign as well. As all of us in the U.S. statement, they say, quote, we have observed increasingly aggressive Iranian activity during this election cycle. Now, the agencies say China and Russia have also employed these tactics.
Fox's Rich Edson. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken's in Egypt trying to broker an elusive ceasefire for Gaza. Hamas claims Israel's changed the terms of the deal.
Overnight, Israeli forces inside Gaza recovered the bodies of 6 hostages that were being held by Hamas. These hostages were being held in the city of Khan Yunis.
Fox's Trey Yingst in Tel Aviv. They were among the hundreds of Israelis Hamas kidnapped in the October terror attack that triggered the war in Gaza. America's listening to Fox News.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
She wants better oversight. It's 64 and sunny downtown. I'm Kurt Darling. Here's what's trending at 11:02. With sexual harassment accusations casting a shadow over Mayor Joe Hogsett's office in Indianapolis, State Senator Andrea Hunley is calling on more accountability from city leaders.
There's no such thing as a consensual relationship when there is an imbalance of power.
Hunley represents parts of Indy in the state legislature. She's calling on the Indiana Democratic Party as well to take better care of itself, especially when it comes to having better reporting channels for victims of sexual harassment. 2 shootings overnight in Indianapolis, one on the northwest side early this morning where a man was killed near 29th and MLK. Another later on in the morning just north of Ascension St. Vincent Hospital on the north side. A person has been arrested in that shooting, but the person who was shot has survived. A man driving a motorcycle was not wearing a helmet when his bike collided with a minivan.
Police say that the minivan
didn't stop at a stop sign. I'm Ryan Hedrick. The collision happened just west of Bremen along a state road on Monday. Police say the impact of the collision sent the man on the motorcycle flying off his bike. His injuries are considered life-threatening. There's no word on whether there will be any charges in this case. The other person driving the minivan was also taken to the hospital. Ryan Hedrick, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
Planned Parenthood in the state of Indiana have agreed to extend a deadline by 30 days for a judge to rule if the state's abortion ban violates the Constitution. The organization sued the state back in May, requesting a judge issue an injunction to broaden legal abortions and block the requirement that they only be done at a hospital. Indiana Pacers Sports and Entertainment President Mel Raines discussed on Inside Indiana Business what next year's WNBA All-Star Game may look like.
Well, I think it'll look very different than it's looked in other cities. I mean, our goal is the same as it was for NBA All-Star, to help them redefine what this event is and see it in its biggest opportunity.
She says after another city had to back out, Indianapolis jumped at the opportunity. I'm Kirk Darling, on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
Are you ready to smell better naked? I'm Dr. Shannon Klingman, the OBGYN creator of Lumi, the whole body deodorant that's clinically proven to control odor for 72 hours on pits, feet, privates, and beyond. It's pH optimized to safely and effectively control odor anywhere you have it, but wish you didn't. Plus, it's proven to work better than a shower with soap alone. Whether you shower twice a day or 3 times a week, Lumi works better. And who doesn't want zero body odor? With over 200,000 5-star reviews, I'm so sure you're going to love it, or you can return it for free.
There's a special offer for listeners. Use code BETTER and get 15% off your first purchase with code BETTER, like the Lumi Starter Pack, Acidified Body Wash, or new Lumi Plus Sweat Control. That's LUME Deodorant.com, code BETTER for 15% off your first purchase. Love it or return it for free. That's LUME Deodorant.com, code BETTER to save 15% today.
You're listening to Rob Kendall.
When we talk about sending money somewhere, we're talking about printing the money because we have no money.
And Casey Daniels.
My government would never lie to me, would they?
On 93 WIBC.
Good morning. It is Tuesday, August 20th, 5 minutes after 11 with Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC.
Well, here he is, fresh off a resounding victory in a court of law. The one and only Abdul Hakim Shabazz. So old gutless Gabe Whitley didn't even show up, huh?
Well, if you're going to, let's put it this way. A few months ago when he filed this protective order against me, I showed him how it's done.
Yeah, that's right. So a couple months ago, Gutless Gabe is what we're calling him now, because he is scared to death to go to jail. I mean, for all the years of his huffing and puffing and being Billy Badass and Johnny Tough Guy and hurting tons of people and his anonymous posts and imaginary friends and everything else, when the heat got turned up, he is now avoiding an arrest warrant, right?
Yes.
He is on the lam. He has been contacted. He is refusing to turn himself in. And so you filed a protective order hearing against him.
Yeah. When he wrote some things on social media, basically saying I should be shot, killed, hung, drawn, and quartered, tarred and feathered, pick the analogy of your choice. I was like, okay, what you're doing is, sir, you are encouraging violence against me, which theoretically, I mean, I'm a big boy. I've been called everything but a child of God of being in broadcasting.
You can't say somebody should shoot you, though.
Right, exactly. That's where we draw the line. And where I really drew the line was when he put my wife and my dogs in jeopardy.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, dude, now it's game on. You're about to you have no idea what you're about to experience here.
So you went to the court, and then obviously there was an arrest warrant issued. The Marion County Prosecutor's Office took it serious enough. They issued an arrest warrant.
Yes.
He has admitted he was notified. He's refusing to turn himself in. And you, as part of this, said, I also want a protective order. So you went to court. Now, just a couple months ago, Gabe tried to get one of these against you. It was the most hilarious thing I've ever seen. It was dismissed within literally seconds of the proceedings.
Of all the proceedings taking place here. And it was funny because he wasn't there. I was like, okay. I said, 2 things are going to happen today. Either A, he will show up and he'll be arrested because, Your Honor, there's an arrest warrant against this knucklehead. Or B, he won't show up and I'll get a default judgment. Right. And I got my default judgment.
Right, because Gabe Whitley is a gutless coward who is totally petrified of going to jail, which is where he'll be headed as soon as he has some sort of entanglement with someone in law enforcement.
Abdul, why do you think that he didn't show up?
He's scared.
Yeah.
He's about to find out why they call it the pokey. It's an old Bob and Tom bit.
So just a reminder.
Yeah.
Just let me reset everything. So Gabe Whitley is he's failed at many things in his life, but most recently a failed congressional candidate. He got dead last in the Republican primary. He lost to a deceased woman. And as part of this hilariously pathetic campaign for Congress, it came to the attention of many that Gabe Whitley was falsifying campaign documents related to donors that he claimed to have received that he did not receive. He had contributions that even if he had received them were blatantly illegal. And that resulted in, there were complaints filed with him, Federal Election Commission, Indiana Election Division. And as a part of that, the FBI, it's believed that as a part of that, the FBI raided his home, what was that, a month or so ago?
Yeah.
And then he got awfully mouthy after that. And then that's where the posts in question about Abdul came in. And then a warrant was issued for his arrest. And then now he's basically disappeared because, he's a fraud.
Yeah, because Gabe is sort of on three tracks. There's a civil track, which was me, and my protective order, which was granted. And then he's got two criminal tracks going on. He has a state criminal track, which is the threatening social media post, which is intimidation, which is a Class 6 felony. And on the other side, he's got the federal fraudulent campaign finance stuff.
Right.
So it is the perfect storm of all three things kind of coming together all at the same time.
Now, if you see Gabe Whitley, and you'll know him, would you like to describe Gabe so that, would you like to do in case somebody sees him out and about?
He looks like George Santos, but isn't as good looking.
Thank you. Very good. Yes. Okay. It's amazing. Those guys basically did the same thing. If you see Gabe Whitley out, call the authorities. He needs to be apprehended. Gabe Whitley is a dangerous person. He is a nut. And he has no business being out in decent society. He's vengeful. He's nasty. He's vicious. He's a liar. He's a fraud. He's a manipulator. And now he's a gutless coward who won't stand up and admit what he did. He's trying to avoid going to jail. If you see Gabe Whitley out and about, you call the authorities and have that guy apprehended.
Okay, Abdul, so you won your protective order. What does a protective order entail?
Well, here's what I'm glad you asked that question, Casey. Here, let me tell you what this protective order entails. The respondent is hereby enjoined from threatening to commit or commit further acts of harassment against the petitioner and the following designated family household members, if any. The respondent is also prohibited from harassing, annoying, telephoning, contacting, or indirectly communicating with the petitioner. And the respondent is ordered to stay away from the residence and or school of the petitioner. So in a nutshell, leave me the hell alone.
Yeah.
Or you go to jail.
Okay, so is this easy, or how hard or easy is it to get this?
It's not difficult. It's just a process because you want to make sure both parties are protected. Because as I sat in court today and just sort of watching this one person file protective orders against like three of her neighbors, the judge's like, no, this doesn't rise to the level of protective order.
Well, look at yours. When Gabe tried to get that, wasted everybody's time and tried to get that one against you, it was dismissed immediately because the judge is like, you're ridiculous. Get out of here.
Yeah, you're a congressional candidate and Mr. Shabazz is a political reporter.
Right.
First Amendment, go away.
Right.
So it takes time. Luckily, I have the time, the energy, the resources, and the legal knowledge to do this and get it done the right way.
Right.
And this is what people need to know about Gabe is he's not now he may have issues, but he knows what he's doing. He knows the difference of right and wrong, which is why he invented Mr. Snuffleupagus Man, Spencer McDaniel. And that's why he put all these posts, vicious posts he made about Abdul, vicious posts he made about me, vicious posts he made about other people. He does them from anonymous accounts. He knows how to set up websites. He knows how to set up Facebook pages. He knew how to file campaign finance reports.
Just fraudulently.
I mean, he was terrible at it, but he knew what he was doing. He responds in legal proceedings. Gabe is not some confused little boy who just needs a pat on the back. Gabe needs to be dealt with through the legal system because Gabe is a vengeful, vicious, nasty person who will not stop until he's incarcerated.
Okay, so Abdul, you're done with him. All of your legal proceedings are put to bed?
No, there's still one more legal proceeding to go. and that is a defamation suit.
Okay.
Where he called me a child rapist and accused me of stealing money from the Marion County Fairgrounds.
Yeah, so this is another part of this that's super important. Gabe is willing to say anything about anyone if he believes, because see, Gabe, I think the seriousness when the FBI showed up at his house, I think it finally hit him. Because in Gabe's mind,
this was all fun and games.
It was his moment in the sun.
Yeah. He loves attention.
Yeah.
But he's about to find out there are two types of attention, and he is about to find out there is a such thing as bad publicity when the bad publicity lands you behind bars.
And the problem, see, this Gabe did the same stuff related to these similar stuff related to this campaign finance crap when he tried to run for mayor of Evansville. And for some reason, and the Evansville Courier did a great expose on this. For some reason, nobody did anything. He did basically the same stuff in Evansville where he made up the donations. The Evansville Courier contacted the people. People were like, we've never heard of this guy. Now he got smarter, I guess, this time because he just made up people this time. He's like, well, if I just make up the people, they can't contact them to refute that they gave me the money. And nobody did anything. They let this guy waltz out of Evansville and nobody did anything. And it has been amplified and done on steroids once he got up here.
Gabe's issue, Gabe is like, here's the best analogy I can describe it for you folks. Imagine your brother or sister's or your neighbor's petulant child who's gotten away with crap for so long, and you said, no, this is enough. And then you smack them on the rear, and they're like, what did I do? Like, dude, what didn't you do?
Yeah.
Okay, so you've got the defamation lawsuit that is still out there, and he still has to deal with stuff on the federal level. Is that correct? With the Federal Election Commission?
Yes. Because he filed fraudulent campaign finance reports, and the deadline for him to respond to those reports was actually August 8th. And so now he's going to be potentially in more trouble with
because
that.
he had claimed
that he claimed he loaned himself $100,000.
Claimed he loaned himself $100,000. And the FEC is like, you can't just do that. You have to clarify like where this money comes from. Are these loans? Are they, we want to know how this money's being, well, of course, the answer is not going to be good, whatever answer he was going to give. So it sounds like just with, as he did with your protective order hearing just today, simply not responding was the way that he was going to go.
Yeah, if I close my eyes and pretend I can't hear you, this will all go away.
Right.
No, it won't. You will go away, but they won't go away.
So he's not showing up for court dates. So where do we go from here?
Now I basically wait about, what's today, the 20th? Mm-hmm. I basically wait about 2 more weeks, and I can file my motion for summary judgment and get a ruling in my favor with respect to what he said to me about that was defamatory.
Now, this is not about the money, though, right?
No, because he has not.
And you're never going to probably see that money, but this is about holding this guy accountable. And look, say whatever you want. If it weren't for Abdul, and if it weren't for me, and if it weren't for a select other group of people, this guy could have been the nominee for Congress. Mm-hmm. He could be the Republican nominee for United States Congress right now, representing the Indiana Republican Party. And what is egregious about this is that the Marion County GOP and the state party have known what this guy is for years. For years, they've known what he is, and they haven't done a damn thing about it.
You bring up a good point. Have they ever mentioned anything about this? Have
Nothing.
they ever released a statement on him?
Gabe is an elected precinct committeeman right now. They let this go on, and he is technically an elected precinct committeeman representing the Indiana Republican Party, representing the Marion County GOP right now.
Okay.
So congratulations.
It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood.
If you see...
I hope you feel safer today.
Well, I feel as safe as I did yesterday. I mean, like I told people, if you want to try something, fine. But I remind you, my wife was in the military and she was a sharpshooter.
And again, I'm not being facetious or cute when I say this. If you see Gabe out, because it's my understanding he's still living in the same location, he's still going out and doing things.
Is he still working a job?
Well, I don't know. And but I was told he was.
I think he's working from home these days.
Well, if you see the guy out, call the authorities. He needs to be apprehended. He threatened Abdul. It was very serious what he did. Take away the federal stuff, which is still under investigation. What he did to Abdul was ridiculous. It was gross. It was pathetic. It was cowardly. And the fact that he did all that stuff behind the safety of his computer screen, and then he had a chance to look you in the eye today.
Yep.
He didn't have the guts to show up.
Nope,
call the police if you see that guy out and about.
All right. Thank you, Abdul.
It's a pleasure. You guys look great today. It's a beautiful day. I'm going to go outside and have a cigar right now.
You're listening to Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC.
It's the Democrats' turn. 93 WIBC.
Starts in Chicago. Vice President Harris will accept the nomination Thursday. The Trump campaign will hit several battleground states.
Another news update is minutes away.
3 people are dead following a shooting in Lawrence on Sunday night.
There's several people being interviewed as we speak.
On the level.
Hit and run crash.
It's just a tragic situation all around for everybody.
The woman died at the scene.
On the go.
4-year-old boy accidentally shot.
93 WIBC Mobile News.
Greetings from R&R Agency, your Indiana health insurance pros. And a thank you to our loyal customers for making our agency a national sales leader for the 7th straight year. We recently saved a family of 4 over $500 monthly when compared to their ACA plan. You know it's still Obamacare, right? We've recently saved a 61-year-old retiring couple over $600 when compared to their COBRA plan. Breaking news. We are now able to offer health insurance to employer groups of all sizes with 2 of the largest insurers in the Midwest. We'll be here when you need us. Quoting my favorite president, what the heck do you have to lose? We can help. As always, God bless America, or at least what's left of her.
Call Ron or Terry at 317-563-0868. That's 317-563-0868. Or go to rragency.org. That's rragency.org. A health plan managed and chosen by you, not the government.
Well-changing question. Are you keeping as much of your investment gains as possible? High taxes can erode returns quickly, so you need a tax-optimized portfolio. At Creative Planning, our money managers and specialists work together to make sure your portfolio and wealth are managed in a tax-efficient manner. It's what you keep that really matters. Why not give your wealth a second look? Book your free meeting today at creativeplanning.com. Creative Planning, a richer way to wealth.
Hey, checking in?
This is not just your flu shot appointment at Walgreens.
Yes.
This is getting your entire family vaccinated in one trip.
Hey, Mom?
And a snack on the way out. Get flu shots for everyone in your family, together. Schedule appointments online today. This is wellness made easy. Walgreens.
Vaccine subject to availability and for ages 3+. State and health-related restrictions may apply.
To celebrate, be employee owned, Be's offering employee pricing 60% off plus 18 months, no interest, no payment.
Proud to be employee owned. Trust me.
Okay, so the DNC is underway, and Joe Biden officially passed the torch on to Kamala Harris. I believe it was official when he hugged her after his angry speech last night. It was supposed to be a torch passing event, although Joe Biden, I think, mentioned Donald Trump more than Kamala Harris during his speech. But they do have Donald Trump and Kamala Harris, allegedly, a debate coming up on ABC on September 10th. They were supposed to have a couple more scheduled, one on Fox News, but now that's in question.
I mean, she doesn't want any part of that. You know, here's what's interesting is you start looking at these polls and look, they're very close. And I think it is very close. And that's probably not great for Trump given the jelly bean counting that will take place in places like Pennsylvania and Michigan. But you're led to believe by the media that this is some American love affair with this woman. And every poll basically shows Donald Trump in some shape, form, or fashion, now not by a lot, but in the lead.
On all the key issues.
Well, and leading in the national polling in most of them. And in most of the swing states, he has some, again, all within the margin of error, lead, and most electoral vote counts give him a lead over her. So for all of this huffing and puffing about how she's just the next Obama and she's so great and everybody loves her, they've thrown the kitchen sink, the mainstream national media is behind her, and it's done. She's better than Biden, but how could you be worse than Biden? She knows her name. She doesn't talk to dead people, and she's still either losing or tied. And the problem she's going to have is the more people see her, the less they'll like her. I mean, they're going to do everything they can to protect her, but it's like her economic policies. She's an idiot. Now this new thing's coming out about it. Is she liquored up at events and stuff? Have you seen this?
Her and Nancy Pelosi hanging out.
It's like so anyway, I think the problem she's got going for her is the more people see her, the less they will like her, and she's probably peaked in terms of her ability to win support and win voters.
Okay, so it was reported last night during the DNC while she was sitting next to the old bald guy that she backed out of the Fox News debate with Donald Trump.
Yes, so now apparently there will be one on ABC and one on NBC, and nobody's surprised about this. I mean, she can't stand on her own. That's why they're not letting her do interviews or press conferences or whatever. And there's no way they're going to put her with unfriendly moderators who aren't going to tip the scales in her favor. Trump apparently was informed of this. My guess would be at 11:39 p.m. last night, because this is when this truth went out. Should we do a dramatic reading?
I think we should.
Okay, so just a reminder of how we do our dramatic Trump readings on the show, because we have new people in all the time. Casey, did you know I once interviewed the president?
It was a great dream. He wished all interviews could be like that.
His words, not mine.
You did a fine job.
Well, he said I knew what was going on out there.
It's true. You do know what's going on.
And so as a payment for that, which sort of in many ways kind of launched my reemergence into media. I mean, people forget I was in the media, and then I got out of the media to do politics and government, and then I went back into the media. So as a payment for that, kind of helping me
Which was a bigger mistake, getting back into media or into politics?
Oh, I lost years off of my life in politics. I've just lost years off of my retirement being in media.
There you go.
But we do play Whitney Houston's I Will Always Love You when we read his thoughts on social media. And I read them as I picture the thoughts in his head as he transcribes them feverishly with his thumbs.
Now, this is a very long post from Donald Trump.
Yep.
You're going to have to take a big, deep breath before you get into it.
Yep.
Are you ready?
Now, just a disclaimer, if I get louder, it's because
it's all caps.
It's all caps. I'm reading it as it's being presented on the social media platform.
Okay.
Ready?
Yep.
Here we go. Comrade Kamala Harris has just informed us that she will not do the Fox News debate on September the 4th. I am not surprised by this development, because I feel that she knows it is very difficult, at best, for her to defend her record-setting flip-flopping on absolutely everything she once believed in, including her statements that there will be no fracking in Pennsylvania and her horrible performance on the border. Our border czar, where millions of criminals and people from mental institutions and terrorists have been allowed to pour into our country, totally unchecked and unvetted. It's called, and she loves it, an open border! Triple exclamation point. Rather than the debate on September 4th, I have agreed to do a tele-town hall anchored by Sean Hannity for Fox. It will take place in the great Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Details to follow.
Smart.
Exclamation point.
Yeah. Smart on his part. He probably doesn't want her on that stage anyway. He can get more Trump time.
Well, look, I mean, she's a colossal fraudster. She's completely incapable of standing on her own. They're trying to do the exact same thing they did with Biden in 2020, which is just activate the mainstream national media as an arm of the Democrat Party and hope that they can pull it off again. And why wouldn't they? They did it once before.
Yeah, so Trump has been spending a lot of time in Pennsylvania. So has J.D. Vance, and Trump was just there. While he was there, he was talking about Kamala, saying that, she doesn't know what she's talking about when it comes to the economy.
We don't need lectures on the economy from a candidate pushing communist price controls. Kamala has no idea what the hell she's doing. Her father is a Marxist professor, and I believe he taught her well. He's a Marxist professor. Can you imagine? Does anyone know that? I wonder if they knew that when they did an overthrow or a coup on Joe Biden. I wonder if they knew where she comes from, where she came from, what her ideology is.
There was, he also addressed them calling Donald Trump weird, and he also is making comments about how he's better looking than she is.
Well, and this is the thing, and I know it's part of the right? Like
it's part of the entertainment side of Trump, but if he would just stick to the policy, that's enough.
Yeah, well, we'll see. Look, I think just the more people see her, the more they're going to dislike her. But again, you cannot, and I cannot be emphatic enough about this. You cannot comprehend the amount of creative jelly bean counting that's going to be taking place in November of 2024.
All right, more men are waiting to have babies until they're older. You're one of those people, Rob. We've got to get
I'm older?
Well, what? Older-ish.
Look at how beautiful I am, Casey.
It has nothing to do about your appearance. I was talking strictly about your age.
My actual number.
Yeah. I think you probably have an opinion on this, and we're going to talk about it coming up from 93 WIBC.
Back to school season arrives in Indiana. It's time to focus on school supplies and those home projects you've been delaying. Don't worry. With Moss Roofing, you're not alone. They're here to help with your roofing and siding, making sure your home is a safe place for math homework each and every day. Choose Moss Roofing to transform your home's exterior with top-notch James Hardy siding, protecting your home from those Indiana storms and enhancing your curb appeal. Their inspections are always free, and they'll even give you a 3D design link so you can visualize the makeover before they even begin. Talk to Moss Roofing today, a second-generation family business based right here in central Indiana. For a job done right every single time. I love when they do that. MossRoofing.com, 317-747-3665. 317-747-3665. Tell them Tony Katz sent you. 747-3665 or online at Moss, M-O-S-S, MossRoofing.com.
Are you within 5 years of filing for Social Security? Get this, 96% of Americans, 96% forfeit an average of $111,000 in Social Security income, and it's all because, unfortunately, they file for their benefits at the wrong time. Learn how you can avoid this with a free customized Social Security analysis. It's from Bill Demery, your retirement guy right here in Indy.
So if you've saved more than $200,000 for retirement and have not yet filed for Social Security, schedule that free analysis right now by calling Bill Demery, 317-648-5120. Bill Demery. For some people, filing for Social Security early could result in more net income in retirement. The free analysis pinpoints exactly how you could get the most income from Social Security. Bill Demery, 317-648-5120. That's 317-648-5120.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
Getting tense at the DNC. I'm Kirk Darling. Here's what's trending at 11:30. Chicago police say protesters breached a security perimeter at the Democratic National Convention Monday. That followed by a standoff between protesters and officers later at Union Park. At least 4 people have been arrested. Bottles and signs were thrown at officers who moved in with gas masks and riot gear. South Korea and the U.S. are beginning their joint summer military exercises. This comes as North Korea looks to advance its nuclear and missile programs, trying to launch reconnaissance satellites. Experts say that the drills reflect realistic threats, including North Korea's missile threats. Gas prices keep going down. $3.30 the average in Indiana today, says Gas Buddy. I'm Kirk Darling, on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
It's better over here. If you're 55 and up, T-Mobile has an exclusive rate plan just for you. Right now, get 2 lines of talk, text, and data for just $30 a line. That's a 45% savings versus Verizon and AT&T. Plus, you can get one of the latest 5G phones free when you add a line. That's right, a free 5G phone. Experience all this and more on America's largest 5G network. So why wait? At T-Mobile, customers 55 and up can get 2 lines of talk, text, and data for only $30 a line. Just go to T-Mobile.com/choice55 or visit your local store to make the switch.
With AutoPay using debit or bank account plus taxes and fees, 45% off 2 lines versus AT&T Starter and Verizon Welcome. Plan benefits vary. Free phones up to $300 off with 24 monthly bill credits and qualifying new line for well-qualified customers plus tax and $35 device connection charge. Contact us before canceling entire account to continue remaining bill credits. Bill credits end if you pay off device early. See details at T-Mobile.com.
Indiana adventure is near. Come to Grant County this year.
Visit the Marion Municipal Airport for high-flying fun at the Fly-In Cruisin' August 31st. Discover antique aircraft, vintage cars, trucks, motorcycles, and autocycles. Take flight in historic aircraft and fill up at the all-you-can-eat pancake breakfast. Get details at showmegrantcounty.com. Grant County, Indiana. Classic cool.
Indiana adventure is near. Come to Grant County this year.
You're listening to the Kendall and Casey Show on 93 WIBC.
So coming up in our next segment, we're going to discuss a little parenting trick, hack, something you're dealing with your daughter. But let's get into this. There's this new study that came out that found out that men are waiting longer and longer to start a family. Some waiting until they're in their 50s before fathering children.
Now,
despite being able to have children earlier in life, they're just waiting.
Now, the
off.
the uptick is not, I mean, it is, I guess, noticeable, but not it's not like now 10% of men. It went from like 1.1% to 1.3% over a 10-year period or whatever, that more men in their 50s are having children. Now, I think I always kind of knew I was going to be older when I started a family because, Casey, when I was younger, you out with me, you out till 3, right? I always kind of thought,
for the well-being of the child, you made the right choice.
Really, I mean, I do think I'm a good dad because of the life experiences that I've gone through, and being a dad is the thing that I want to be, and it's my most important job, and it's the thing I look forward to doing most each day, and that's how you have to be if you're going to be a good parent. If you got a job that's more important than your kid, you're not going to be a good parent.
You're not dadding right.
Period. End of story. But I always kind of understood, it was like, look, the woman is the most important part of the equation, right? Men are capable, just biologically, for the most cases, and some men have trouble, having children, et cetera. But I was like, just generally, men are able to have kids. Now, I'm not saying whether it's wise or not. I'm just saying men are able to have kids very late into life. Look at the guys like Robert De Niro or Al Pacino, or they're in their 80s and having Mick Jagger.
Yeah.
And so I thought, well, I'm the secondary part of the equation, right? A little bit of work, and then my job is just to be a provider, a nurturer, et cetera. So it didn't really ever bother me. I was never looking like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. It was just like I had to find some poor sucker who was willing to procreate with me. And gosh darn it, Casey, I did it.
And you wooed her, or you just lied to her.
Well, here's the thing. Now this is a lesson the Hogshead administration needs to learn. She worked here at Emmis. I met my wife. She was an intern here at Emmis, but I didn't have any power over her.
Correct.
I was not a boss.
Right.
I was a coworker.
You couldn't fire her.
We were coworkers, so you wouldn't have to report that to anyone because there was no power structure over each other. I just kept breaking my computer, so she'd have to come over and fix it. Why is there mustard in your
your
hard drive?
Your computer breaks a lot, Rob. Why is that? That's weird.
But the point is, like, again, for the Hogshead administration, it's fine for coworkers to date each other because nobody has any power over each other. But it was never that big a deal to me. I thought, well, I'm gonna do my part in this equation, and now, we've begun to talk about, as we talk about, hey, maybe having another child. I said, look, I'd like to not be 70 when these kids are still in the house. So we probably, if we're gonna hopefully be blessed with more children, let's start planning that coming forward sooner rather than later. But from just a sheer biological, here's our roles in the creation of the child in question.
Yeah.
Women's timeline, I think, is much more relevant than men's.
Well, and that's the thing. The study said that the older fathers are more likely to have children with first-time mothers who are around 25 years old. So you're right, there can be a big age difference. But one of the more intriguing things they found out was that with these older fathers, now we're talking older than you.
Right.
Older, 50 plus older.
Right.
Is that they were less likely to have boys.
Yeah, that's interesting, isn't it?
Something about the age. Maybe it's the little help from science to get them there.
Yeah, I
don't know if that has anything to do with it or not. But another thing they found was that fathers over 50 face some higher risk, or at least the baby does, like premature birth and also low birth weight.
Right.
So there are a few health things to consider when you're thinking about becoming an older father.
And look, I will say this again, and anybody who has been a parent will, I'm sure, nod in let me rephrase this. Any person who's been any sort of decent parent will nod in agreement with this. And if you haven't had an opportunity to experience it yet, there is no greater joy than being a parent. And of the things that you are given and blessed with on this earth, there is no greater blessing from God above than being able to be somebody's parent and watch that child grow and watch them learn and experience new things. And it is if you're a person who's like, I'm career focused, I will tell you, as someone who was once career focused, being a parent is a far greater joy and a far greater feeling of success or relevance or whatever than any career opportunity will ever bring you.
I'm really curious, and you'll probably notice this more when Olivia starts school. Like, do you feel like an older father? I mean, you're not old, but do you feel older-ish?
No.
And I'm wondering, when she starts school and you're around other fathers, what the average age would be.
I'm pretty hip. I mean, who wouldn't want to hang out with me?
It's all about attitude.
Where I do see it and notice it is, like, I will have friends who their kids, they have posted, like, over the past year, I can't believe Clay is graduating high school.
Right.
And it's people that I went to high school with. Now, those people were parents when they were younger, like younger than a lot of people normally become parents. But I've seen that over the past couple of years as these people have kids graduating.
Right, they're excited about a graduation, and
high
you're
school.
excited about a first birthday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, again, it's like, to me, I've never had the experience before. So it's all new stuff to me. Like, the job of a father is first and foremost to be a provider for your family, to take care of your family, to make sure that they have food and clothing and shelter and structure. And I got a lot of flaws in life, but I've been a pretty good provider in my life, and I think I've got that down. And look, just pay attention to your kid, right? Like, just freaking pay attention to your kid and give them time. And there's just no greater joy than doing that.
I would like to add to the role of a father.
Yeah.
You said it's to provide. It's also to provide safety,
right,
for your family. But I recall when Jim and I were doing our pre-Cana classes, which is in the Catholic Church, you take these classes before you get married.
Yeah.
And they said the job of a father or husband is to love the mother.
Yeah.
Because the mother makes sure that the home is heartfelt.
Think about how easy the man actually has it. I mean, not to be a biology class here, but we got like 10 seconds worth of effort in this whole equation.
Right.
And then the mom not only has the 9 months, but then at least 6 to 9 months after that of physical, responsibility, and obviously the just changes, et cetera, that come with getting pregnant, being pregnant, giving birth. Was it wrong that I told my wife at one point during childbirth, hey, let's go? Come on, it's been long enough. I've been here almost all day. Come on. Was that a bad move?
Yeah. You better not have been one of the dads that was taking a nap in the hospital.
Oh, no. I was there for all 24 hours of that equation.
Yeah, I'm so exhausted. I've been up all night sleeping in the hospital cot there. No, but I can tell you, even after 23 years, it never ends being a parent.
But the reality is that, the mothers, and this is why I think, you obviously see there's kind of a window for many women to be able to have children. And I think one of the things you don't appreciate it until you go through it yourself. You don't appreciate your parents until you go through it yourself. You may have an appreciation for your life. You may have appreciation for the stuff you have, but you never truly appreciate what your parents did for you until, like, I wish as a kid I could know, what's the whole thing? Youth is wasted on the young, whatever. Yep. I wish as a kid I could have known the things that I know now, because I would have had a far greater appreciation and reverence, not only for my mother, who obviously gave birth, but just what your parents in general gave up is not the right word, but it is a sacrifice. Parenting is a sacrifice. It's a joyful one. It's one you should look forward to, but it is a sacrifice. You do surrender big parts of your existence in order to be a parent and to be a good one.
Speaking of being a parent, did you notice about the write-up from the Right to Life?
Yeah, we were. Article? Yeah, it was us.
It's the title of the article is Indiana gubernatorial candidate refuses to set limits on abortion, and then they feature us in this article pretty prominently. They say we're highly popular.
Yes, so Indiana Right to Life, they're sort of the leading pro-life organization in the state of Indiana. They did a big press release write-up, whatever you want to call it, on Jennifer McCormick's appearance on our show. And let's face it, we are probably the only news outlet in the state who has actually pinned her down on her being for on-demand abortion. We didn't let her give some crap answer and weasel out of it. You walked out of it. Now, you may be for on-demand abortion, and if that's you, I feel bad for you. And I don't think that probably is many in our audience. But everybody who listened to that interview, you know, Jennifer McCormick believes you should be able to murder a baby from conception to live birth as long as the doctor says, let's go. That's her standard. Now, she doesn't want it to be called that. She gets really upset when you call it that. She likes to call it reproductive rights or say it's, between a woman and her doctor. Jennifer McCormick is for assassinating a living baby inside a mother from conception to live birth if the mother decides that's what she wants to do. And you can vote on that accordingly.
So the article goes on to say that we gave her multiple opportunities to set her position on abortion limits, including late term and moment of birth abortions, but she stuck closely to the Planned Parenthood talking points and avoided taking a stand on the issue. All true. And then the president and chief executive officer of Indiana Right to Life said that her comment that the baby's put in a bad situation.
Yeah, it gets its brain sucked out. I'd say it's a bad position.
Yeah, and he called it a slip up from the typical agenda.
Well, and look, even if you're a person who life is not your issue, which it should be for all of us, because without life, there isn't, everything else we're talking about is irrelevant. But even if you're a person who pro-life movement, not your issue, you should care about her interview that day with us because you saw it with the property tax thing too, where she will tell you whatever she needs to tell you in whatever room she's in to make you feel good about voting for her. And so the same thing, she did the same thing with the property tax. She lied to us. She looked right at us and lied to us.
Said, wait and see.
Right.
And then released it when it was convenient for her.
And then she'll
do the same thing with everything else.
She'll do it to you eventually. All right. So, what are we doing? What are we doing next?
Oh, we're going to talk about the new flavors for fall.
Oh, yeah. Pumpkin spice is out.
Pumpkin spice is out.
It's done.
What is in? We'll tell you coming up from 93 WIBC.
Coming up on Tony Katz today, day one of the DNC, and it is actually much different than you expected in all the ways you expected. That's after the news at noon on 93 WIBC.
He went to doctor after doctor looking for relief and always walked away discouraged. Surgery and drugs hadn't worked before, so why would he try them again? That's when Carmen made an appointment at QC Kinetics.
I'll tell you one thing. I got a spring in my step. The bounce is back in my step. My quality of life improving exponentially since I've been going to QC Kinetics.
QC Kinetics has treated over 35,000 patients like Carmen, using their own healing components, concentrating them into damaged knees, hips, shoulders, and backs. No surgery, no drugs.
The pain's gone. Quality of life so much better, and mentally I'm in such a better place because I know that I'm not going to wake up to the same old struggles that I have been dealing with every single day. 10 months ago, no joke, I was a prime candidate for a knee replacement. Today, I'm not because of the treatment I'm receiving at QC Kinetics.
Carmen finally got relief, and it was easy, starting with a free consultation at QC Kinetics.
Call QC Kinetics, 317-559-PAIN. That's 317-559-PAIN. In Eagle Creek, Greenwood, and Carmel, 317-559-PAIN.
Remember the big bad wolf? Michaelis does. Because around here, all that huffing and puffing and blowing houses down stuff comes in the form of rain, wind, and hail. And no matter what your structure is made of, Michaelis is made of first responders and craftsmen who can restore it to better than new condition. Water, storms, fire, and wet basements. Life happens. Michaelis happens to help you through it. Call 844-FIX-INDY. Make it Michaelis.
Garage door problems? Call today for service today. Garage Doors of Indianapolis services all makes of garage doors 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Call today for service today. 875-4577. Call today for service today. Get it fixed right now. Call Garage Doors of Indianapolis at 875-4577 or visit doorstoday.com.
In the morning, call 875-4577. Service today. Today.
Discover cancer care that empowers you at Community Health Network MD Anderson Cancer Center. Our multidisciplinary care team will guide you every step along the way.
It was very overwhelming at first, but I found this whole community of people who are understanding and just very supportive. So I have a lot of thankfulness and gratefulness for who I am through this and after this.
Learn more at ecommunity.com/cancer.
We all have people in our lives we interact with. Maybe it's your favorite barista, a neighbor who waves to you every morning, a coworker you grab lunch with, or maybe it's me, the hairstylist you've gone to for years. What if you learned I had a substance use disorder? Would it change how you see me? It's okay to see the addiction, but when you choose to see the person, not just their disease, it can help change someone's life. Learn more at cbeyondtheaddiction.org.
Hey, checking in?
This is not just your flu shot appointment at Walgreens.
Yes.
This is getting your entire family vaccinated in one trip.
Hey, Mom?
And a snack on the way out. Get flu shots for everyone in your family, together. Schedule appointments online today. This is wellness made easy. Walgreens.
Vaccine subject to availability and for ages 3+. State and health-related restrictions may apply.
Can you hear me?
So can your customers. Get your message heard. Text business to 71007 now. Get results with Radio 1.
Rob, you know, autumn is right around the corner.
You call it autumn or fall?
I call it fall normally, but I like the ring of autumn. It sounds just a little bit more pretentious.
Right, it's like soda or pop.
Right. Which do you say?
Fall.
Fall.
I'm from Indiana, Casey.
Yeah, fall. Okay, so fall is right around the corner.
Yes.
There's a new survey out revealing that there's a shift in Americans' taste buds.
Oh.
Turns out the long reign of pumpkin spice is over.
Oh, wow.
Have you been a big fan of this? It's been going on for 20 years now.
No, I'm not a 20-something woman, Casey. No.
I bet your wife enjoys it, right? The pumpkin spice latte?
I don't know. I mean, she's never said anything about it. You know, my wife is pretty
low maintenance.
Yeah, she's low maintenance, and she's she's just very calm.
Well, I know
and she doesn't do first of all, she doesn't do social media. So I think that's a big reason why.
Oh, she's not influenced by that. Well, I know for a while she was one of the women who would do the Starbucks.
Yeah.
But she pulled that back, that spending, that little extra.
Yeah, I said we're paying for daycare now. That's
right.
out. You're done.
You can't have a $5 coffee.
You're done here.
It's probably a $10 coffee now. Well, if you are one of those people, there should be some new flavors to choose from.
Uh-oh.
And with pumpkin spice on the way out, guess what is on the way in?
Oh, there's something else. We're not just done.
Yeah, no. Oh, no. It's got to be replaced, Rob. Don't be silly.
Oh, how exciting.
The number one new flavor for fall is Post Honey Bunches of Oats.
What?
Yes, Honey Bunches of Oats. So it's an oat flavor with honey instead of pumpkin spice.
No.
Mm-hmm. Yep, 45% say that they are just tired of the basic pumpkin spice.
Oh, so, this was the thing for years and years and years. All the 20 and 30 something white women it was pumpkin spice everything, coffees, everything,
cake, cookies,
yeah, just a whole thing,
the whole gamut. And now it's going to be Honey Bunches of Oats.
Well, and it was like Christmas. It was starting earlier and earlier every year. Like in the middle of August, we were having here comes the pumpkin spice. So we're done with that.
We're done with that. We're moving on. However, a lot of people do like the fall flavors and expect them to be around all the time. Like cinnamon, for example. Salted caramel is another one. And also candy apple.
Well, and, yesterday felt like fall.
Right.
Yesterday,
which is why I'm bringing this up.
Yesterday felt like a fall, at least in the evening, it felt like a fall day. You know, it's normally 9 million degrees in Indiana in August, and your grass is, a various shades of brown. And this year we have green grass, and there was a nice breeze, and I think it was in the probably mid to upper 60s by the end of the evening, and it was
quite pleasant, wasn't it?
Perfect night for a walk. And now I think it's going to get warmer again later in the week, but at least for a couple days, a little reprieve as we head towards September.
Okay, now speaking of a nice night for a walk, you took one and had some engagement with your daughter.
Yeah, every night we try to take a walk. See, the thing we've discovered is the outside air, it wears her out. Yeah.
That fresh air.
Absolutely.
Okay, now we're talking about fall. Tell everybody what she did. Everybody who's not on Twitter, what she did with the leaf.
Yeah, so we got this thing. Now, did your kid do this where here is parenting for me these days. It's kid picks up leaf, kid looks at leaf, kid tries to eat leaf. I tell kid, no, that's bad for you, don't eat leaf. I take leaf, kid screams.
Yeah.
Kid then looks down, realizes there's another leaf.
And picks that up.
And the cycle starts all over again. Exactly. And we just go through this over and over and over and over and over again.
Well, she'll have a lot of fun if you rake the leaves and make a big pile for her to jump into.
Did your kid do this? Try to eat sticks and leaves and...
they're just very curious. They try and put everything in their mouths, right?
But that can't taste good.
No, and maybe that's what you need to do is let her go ahead and eat it.
I'm worried about her
and then
choking on the leaf. I'm worried about her choking on the leaf, though.
Yeah, it's very dry, right?
Exactly.
Make sure you have some water with her. Can I tell you something really embarrassing that I used to do as a child?
Oh, please.
I used to pick up ABC gum off of the street and try and eat it.
Chewed gum?
Yeah. Already been chewed gum.
So let me make sure I understand what you're telling me here. You would be walking down the street. You'd see a piece of chewed gum.
Yeah.
And you would say, I'm going to need to try that.
Yeah, exactly.
Why?
I loved gum so much, and my parents didn't let me have it.
Oh, yeah.
And there's gum right there on the street. I'm going to eat that. Which do you think is worse? Already been chewed gum or a leaf?
Well, I think already chewed gum because it's been in another human's mouth.
Yeah, exactly.
How old were you when you did this?
I probably 2, 3, 4.
Oh, okay. So you were like a little kid,
I was still really young.
Right. That's still weird.
It is very weird. And I tell you this story to let you know that there are worse things that your daughter could be trying to eat when you're on your walks.
Huh. That doesn't make me feel any better about my current situation, but I mean, it makes me feel worse about you.
It does. Well, you know what? I was exposed to all sorts of germs, and look at me now.
Yeah.
Healthy as an ox.
Oh, my. You're the only one in your house. Isn't that crazy? The woman who used to chew used gum is the most healthy person in her house.
Yep. All right. Well, there's these 3 in 5 Americans believe that fall flavors should be available all season long. So take your choice. Pumpkin spice latte, honey bunches of oats, or already been chewed gum, leaf, whatever it is.
What's your favorite season? Do you have a favorite season?
I like fall.
Yeah.
Yeah. The changing, colors, the trees, the crisp, cool air, the sweaters, the football.
Seems like a short window, though. It seems like we slam into winter pretty quick.
Yeah.
There's like a month window there. Basically, the month of October kind of feels like fall. And then once you're past Halloween, it sort of feels like, hey, we're on to Christmas season.
I really feel like winter could last a week.
Yeah.
Between Christmas and New Year's and then be done. It's not like that, though, is it?
No.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite season?
Anyone that I'm with you?
Oh.
How about that?
The season is over for today. Thanks, Rob.